Hey guys, exciting announcement. Viall Files is expanding to 2 episodes per week starting August 12th. It's going to be amazing. Every Monday, we're going to be doing the Q&A portion of our show. More questions with fans, more interesting topics, more relatable content, more conversations. It's going to be exciting. Wednesdays are staying the same, minus the Q&A. Great guests, great topics, 2 episodes a week. We couldn't do it without you fans. We'll see you August 12th.
Proactiv.
Oh, we love Proactiv.
We love Proactiv. Well, right now, for our listeners, we have a back-to-school offer from Proactiv you can't get anywhere else.
Woo.
With your Proactiv MD order, you will also receive for free Proactiv's On-the-Go bag, which features their T-Zone oil absorber, body acne wipes, and green tea moisturizer. Close to $100 value.
Crazy.
Plus free shipping with a 60-day money-back guarantee. So don't wait and go to proactiv.com/Nick to get this special offer. Again, go to proactiv.com/Nick to order and make your kids' first day back to school their best day ever.
You're crazy.
What is up, everybody? I was going to be like, what is up?
What?
The filers or something? I don't know.
Viall filers.
Anyways, welcome to another episode of the Viall Files. I'm Nick, your host. I have Rochelle with me.
Hello.
My producer, Shug, will be joining us for the interview portion of this episode.
Oh, this is a good interview.
Mr. One, Chris Harrison.
Mr. One.
The godfather of Bachelor.
Oh, wow.
The father.
Your father.
Yeah. Turns out he's my dad. Find out how in this episode of the Viall Files.
Although he did start following you on Instagram after the interview.
Wait, he didn't follow me before?
No, you didn't know that. Drama.
Wait, Chris didn't follow me on Instagram?
No.
What? Wow.
Now you know. The more you know.
I don't feel like Chris keeps up too much.
Yeah, don't take it personally.
I do take it a little personally.
Yeah, a little. Take it
I'm
a little
trying to reset
personally.
with this information. Wow. Anyways, no, it's a great interview with Chris. We had his lovely lady friend Lauren Zima on a few episodes ago.
Lady friend.
Girlfriend, lover. And Chris, we talking. We get to know Chris a little bit more. His love life, obviously, the roots of how this all happened in Chris's life and his perspective on all things Bachelor and dating, and it's really interesting.
Felt like the origin story of a superhero.
It really was. Before we get to that, this intro.
Oh my God.
We're gonna talk about some Bachelor in Paradise, but over the weekend, I had a lot of people reaching out to me because apparently Jed was on Allie and Rachel's new podcast. Congratulations to them.
Yes.
For
Happy
their
hour.
podcast. And apparently Jed had some things to say about me. I'm not going to get in so much to that. I don't in terms of... I was a little disappointed with Rachel, by the way.
With Rachel?
Well,
I thought she was great.
She played the good guy. I'm talking about...
You mean Allie?
Well, no. I'm talking about So basically Jed was... they asked Jed if any of the guys from his season have given him a hard time. And he was like, no, but Nick Viall has. And then fine, whatever. And then Rachel, and then he talks about I've been very critical of Jed via Twitter and on this podcast.
So has the entire world.
And I'm also not sorry. And so Jed talks about how he's the easy target and I get the retweets and blah, blah, blah. And so Rachel, the lawyer, and I'm no lawyer, but it was pretty much a leading question. She's so you think he's trying to be relevant?
Oh.
And of course, Jed takes the bait, and I'm just like, and I will say to Allie made a point to say she didn't agree with Jed, his take on.
Oh, she did?
She's like, well, I don't agree with the Nick stuff, and then moved on quickly. Rachel didn't say anything. Anyways, not about that, because, it's weird to get criticism for a guy about being relevant since he went on a show just to be relevant and ended up
#truth
screwing 2 women that we know of over.
Time for for Nick to sell you things you really need, but you don't own yet.
Well, I've talked to you guys about ShipStation before. I use it every day to help run my business, Natural Habits. We are an online business, e-commerce business, and to do that, we have to ship a lot of things, which can be cumbersome and challenging and expensive at times. Well, they make it all very easy for me. Whether you are selling on Amazon, Etsy, your own website, we sell on Amazon and our website. ShipStation, hard to say, makes it easy for you. They the USPS, FedEx, UPS, even Amazon fulfillment. It's very easy to work with. You get analytics and data about your shipping history with your customers. I can't recommend it enough that if you are running any type of business where you're shipping things out, even if it's a small home business with like eBay, ShipStation is highly recommended. It makes your job a lot easier. It'll save you money and time. Again, I can't recommend it enough. I mean, what else can you say other than right now, the Viall File listeners can try ShipStation for free. We're just giving stuff away. For 60 days when you use promo code Viall, V-I-A-L-L, there's absolutely no risk.
Yep.
You can start your trial for free. Best part is you don't even have to put a credit card in.
So
like
why
real
wouldn't
free.
you do it? Yeah,
really free.
You should try
Not
it.
like free, but you have to remember. No.
To cancel.
You just have
Right.
to sign up. You just have to use a promo code.
How do they do it?
Well, just visit ShipStation.com. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in V-I-A-L-L.
Yep.
That's ShipStation.com. Then enter promo code VIALL. ShipStation.com. Make ship happen.
Ooh.
OpenFit. Well, we've talked about OpenFit.
Yeah, a bunch.
We like it.
Yeah.
We use it.
Yep.
We get trained in the comfort of our home.
Yep. Or in the comfort of a hotel, as you are always traveling.
Or in the comfort of somebody else's house.
Yeah, no, literally.
It's true.
You can like bring it anywhere on your
Yeah.
phone. Wherever your phone goes or your laptop or your iPad or whatever, wherever you can stream,
Yes.
you can have OpenFit.
Yoga, bar classes.
Expert instructors,
Yes.
people who can say instructors.
Yeah.
Anyways, they mix it up, give you a variety. It's amazing. OpenFit has changed the way I work out. And texting my code Viall to 303030, you can join me on my fitness journey personalized just for you. Right now, during the OpenFit 30-day challenge, my listeners get a special extended 30-day free trial membership to OpenFit when you text Viall to 303030. You will get full access to OpenFit, all the workouts and nutrition information, totally free. Again, just text Viall to 303030. And again, that nutrition part, real key.
Now go buy the stuff.
I listened to the episode, and it really frustrated me in terms of the things that Jed said. And then going into this episode of Bachelor in Paradise, and we have the Blake stuff, this whole like fuckboy
Yes.
mentality. And again, what's interesting, we talk a lot about on this show about being sex positive. We've talked about fuckboys with the call her daddy women. And listen, if guy or girl, if you want to have sex, have sex.
Yeah.
If you want to be in a relationship, be in a relationship.
Yeah.
It all comes down to communication and upfront expectations and not saying one thing and doing another, right? If you want to like be single and have a bunch of sex, you don't get to hang out with someone and say, well, I don't want to, we're not dating. We're not dating. But, oh, by the way, I have a family reunion next week, and my parents they invited you and they would love you to go. And by the way, I love you. And there's this trip coming up, and you confuse the shit out of that person. But people do it all the time in dating. That's the problem. That's how fuck boys or even fuck girls, because, women can do it too. Men are more guilty of it, I would say. But and also the whole Jed stuff, I don't want to spend too much time on Jed anymore. But at the same time, I don't think there's many people, but all he has done since AFR is proven that he's not sorry.
Right.
His excuse has been first, he get called out in the breakup, and he's kind of he looks annoyed, and his excuse was, well, I thought we were on the same page, but apparently we weren't. Which is basically like saying, I'm sorry I hurt you,
Yes.
Or I'm sorry you're hurt.
the worst kind of.
Not I'm sorry I hurt you. Jed's basically like, well, I'm sorry she's hurt, and for that I'm sorry. And then he goes on AFR and he's just like hoping that Hannah will forgive him, and he's like, I'll do anything to be a better man for you. So he's saying I'm sorry. He's saying he needs to be a better man. And since then, he's gone on these interviews and done podcasts and completely backtracked his statement back to the, oh, well, I thought we were on the same page. Now, Rachel did a good job playing bad cop. Allie obviously was the good cop here, and I didn't necessarily agree with things that necessarily Allie was saying, but the one question they both missed is, fine, Jed's like, all right, well, I thought we were on the same page. I was wrong, and that I apologize. Okay, really? Here's the one question they didn't ask. Okay, Jed, well, you've confirmed that you've said I love you to her. You confirmed that you went on trips with her. You've confirmed that you had sex with her the night before you went on the show. You've confirmed that. Give us some examples, maybe just one, of what you've done or said to her that would make you believe that you two would be on the same page.
Right.
Give us one, because there's none other than saying, well, we talked about all the possibilities. No, you mind fucked her into thinking that this was for the show. And you try to hedge your bet by saying anything can happen, but then you confused her by saying, I love you. Mm-hmm. And then Jed had this excuse about, it's like, oh, no one's going to believe me. But the text about meet me at the dock, guys, just so you know, that wasn't a real dock. It was a metaphor for
dock.
Some sort of meditation thing. And then Allie and Rachel were like, oh, why didn't you say this? I'm listening being like, what the fuck difference does that make? Did anyone in the world think this was an actual dock? That this Haley girl was going to like just be standing there for 2 months and just fucking camping out while Jed's doing whatever and that he got off the show? Of course it was a metaphorical dock. It also makes it 10 times worse. It's like the whole idea he's going on this trip and it's saying like it could dock clouds, meet me in the clouds, whatever. He's basically saying when I'm gone, in your mind, imagine us together in this place.
Yeah, spiritually.
Yeah, whatever. It's a Machiavellian manipulative tactic that people do, and it's fucked up, and that doesn't make it better. It makes it worse. I'm just, these upfront expectations that when people are dating or they're hanging out, people often, they have this excuse, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings and I don't want to make them mad. And so it's easier for them to just play house and pretend to do the things that they want to do. I have been in dating relations. I've been dating people.
Yeah, this is what I'm wondering. Have you ever been a fuckboy, Nick?
No, I mean, again, we've talked about this in past episodes where like, I'll ask the question, to call her daddy girls, like, well, do you think what I'm doing is a fuckboy? And I never thought it was. If I've been single, mm-hmm. Do I sometimes date girls and we are sexually intimate?
Yeah.
Sure. But again, what I'm saying is I have dated people in the past where there's been a situation where, like, for one example, I dated this girl and she lived across the country.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, I do like you. Let's get to know each other. And we were intimate.
Yeah.
But like, we're not dating because I'm not there yet. Yeah. Right. So we would hang out and we would talk and she would constantly get frustrated at me. Because I wasn't like opening up emotional. I wasn't willing to visit her. I wasn't willing to do all these things that a boyfriend would do. But I was saying, we're not boyfriend, girlfriend, so I'm not going to act like your boyfriend.
But you were talking every day?
We were talking, but like I was trying to get to know her to get to that point. She would say things like, well, listen, I think if two people care about each other enough, a long distance relationship wouldn't matter. And I would say, well, to be honest, I'm not there yet with you to make that commitment. Again, she didn't like hearing that. And at the risk, and she was mad at me and she would be frustrated at me. But I wasn't confusing her with my actions and words.
And at that point, we need to say, okay, then this relationship should be over because it's not what I want.
Exactly. The reason why I'm so critical of Jed and so in defense to Peter is because it's like Peter is literally the example of what you should do. Like, breakups are messy. Yeah. Sometimes when people break up, feelings are hurt. Yeah. And people will name call and say, oh, he sucked or she sucked just because they're feelings. And that sucks. And I am sorry. But like Peter, even if he did it to go on the show, gave this girl an opportunity to move on by ending the relationship. And there's no confusion whether they were dating or not. He ended it and she did move on. She's got apparently dating some other guy now.
Yay, good for her.
Yeah, great for her. But what I'm saying is like relationships can be messy, but like just give someone an opportunity to be mad at you. To like say to feel like their feelings were hurt because you didn't want to be the asshole. Yeah. Don't be the guy or the girl who like they're just always trying to get everyone not to be mad at them. And so but they want their freedom. They don't want to be in a committed relationship. And all these people who, it's just a weakness thing.
But don't you think it's in dating today, men think as long as I don't say it's exclusive and don't call her my girlfriend, it's all free.
No, it's not. Well, that's the problem.
Yes.
So many people do that. And again, men and women are both guilty. Men are more guilty of it, I would say. I don't have any stats.
Right.
But
it feels like that.
It just feels like that. No, but listen, because men, the people who do that are weak. They're weak because they want to, listen, all the criticism, like when, I'm very known for my dating life. Yes. And right now I kind of joke about it and being single, right? Why are you still single? I can't believe you're single. And it's implied as if there might be something wrong with me or just anyone, this single connotation. We talked about this. And listen, it's not that easy. And sometimes would it be nice to have a friend on Sunday night to watch movies with and go to flea markets with, and that we were doing all the things that that have a side piece, so to speak? Sure, but I don't. And sometimes you have to make those hard decisions. There's a lot of people who do that. They want the comfort of having the person to when they're lonely and bored, they can call and come over and they'll be intimate with. And they'll even have someone to, I'm tired of going to weddings by myself. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to invite some girl I've been hanging out with that I don't want to date, that maybe I've slept with a few times, and maybe I kind of sense that she'd be into me if I was into her. I'm not going to invite her to a fucking wedding. Why?
Right.
Because that's going to lead her on. That's going to confuse her. That's going to make her think that maybe there's something there. I'm not going to invite her to take a trip together because that's what fucking couples do.
Right.
Right? And so again, dating can be confusing and hard. And sometimes when you don't give the person what they want and you don't meet their expectations, they'll be mad at you.
Yeah.
But at least you're being upfront and honest.
Yes.
You're not confusing them and hedging their bet.
Yeah.
And fucking Jed is this, he's not fucking sorry at all.
Yeah.
He's full of excuses. And this latest I saw some articles saying, well, she wasn't now she's he's not even sorry. If she wasn't my girlfriend, I would never do that. Well, because to your point, he was just
as long as she's
as
not
long
my
as I never,
girlfriend.
and as long as we never defined it, it's fine. Meanwhile, everything he's doing and saying is making her believe that there's something there.
What about Tyler? Lots of news this week with him. There's pictures of him with Hannah, and then a couple days later with Gigi.
I mean, in terms of maybe this is the first time Tyler's not the notebook guy. Listen,
he's not the notebook guy.
He's not the notebook guy.
Disappointed.
Why? I mean, listen, the whole Hannah asked him out for a drink. The pictures, I don't know what to make of it. I'll say this much about the pictures we saw the next morning after. There was no hug, there was no kiss, and paparazzis will capture any moment that happens. Yeah. And I'm certain if there was a hug and a kiss, there would be photos of that.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't think of that.
That's a safe assumption.
Oh.
Also, the fact that maybe Hannah made some remarks this week about they really did talk, and I would believe that too. Is that these are two right now very high profile people.
Yeah.
Hard to do that in public. So it would make sense that Tyler would go to Hannah's and they would talk through the night and catch up. And also if Gigi Hadid wants to go on a date with you as a single person, you go on a date.
Really? You think you would 100%? I guess he's not going to be the Bachelor anymore.
I think it's safe to say that, yes, I will agree that this the stuff with Hannah and the stuff with Gigi Hadid pretty much eliminates Tyler from being the Bachelor.
Yeah, and probably Dancing with the Stars.
Well, he's under contract with the Bachelor, and Dancing with the Stars probably isn't an option. And there's behind the scenes there. It's not the seamless transition everyone thinks it is.
Right.
There would have to be some negotiations.
Yeah. I don't know why I feel disappointed, but I kind of wanted to believe love exists and that he really loved Hannah and that
I think he really respected Hannah and cared for Hannah. I mean, Hannah picked Jed, and then Hannah had all this drama with Jed, and Jed goes on the show and everyone falls in love with him. And I don't fault Hannah for asking him out for drinks, but Jed has the right to say, listen, I had feelings. Tyler had the right to say, I had feelings for you, but I mean, hey, I don't necessarily want to dive back into
Yeah, it was pretty quick after that. Anyway.
Also, but keep in mind, Tyler's been on lockdown for 2.5 months.
Right.
Not trying to get the secret out, not being able to date anyone. Right. He's put his life on hold.
Yeah.
So how much longer does Tyler need to wait to go and grab drinks with anyone, including Gigi Hadid?
Right.
You know, he's single,
Right.
and just because Hannah asked him out for a drink doesn't mean Tyler has to say yes. And it doesn't make him an asshole for saying yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, as we joked, or I joke, he is just a guy.
I know. I
he is
kept
a
thinking
great
about
guy,
you saying that.
but he is just a guy who might not just, you know, because like, in all jokes, it's that Tyler has become this almost folklore hero of like, of course, he's just gonna like be there waiting for you to like
I know.
figure it out, and then he will come and
Yeah.
save you. That's
I-
not Tyler, because no one is, and that's
Aw.
fine. But doesn't make him not any different or any less redeeming of a guy
Yeah.
and any less genuine just because he doesn't want to be in a relationship with Hannah.
I guess so.
Well, Brewmate.
Ooh.
Brewmate. Changing the world. Changing how we go outside and consume alcohol.
But not even just outside. I mean, it just keeps your alcohol, your wine, I would suggest, because it looks very wine friendly, but it keeps it at a perfect temperature, which is so nice. Because I find if you do take your wine to like an
Yes.
outdoor concert where you're invited to bring in your own alcohol, it can get warm.
Yes. So this is the Wine Salator Trio. It comes with a container that holds a whole bottle of wine
And the cup?
and 2 cups. And then they also have a Hop Salator Trio, which is for beer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I know. I ordered
And listen,
the wine
let's be
one.
honest. Sometimes we want to be discreet about the things that we're drinking.
Yeah.
And this allows you to do that.
And you don't want to be lugging glass around.
No.
and stuff.
Don't settle for warm alcohol. Chill out with your favorite drinks all day long with Brewmate. Visit brewmate.com and add code Viall to get 15% off your first order. That's 15% off your first order when you go to brumate.com and add code VIALL. You know what's fun about us? We all have the same furniture. True story.
Wait, you have article couch too?
I'm just ordering my article couch.
Shug and
my
I have the
gosh.
same couch.
You do? Which
we
one
had
do you
this
have?
before we even were friends.
Whoa.
It's true. I know. And I walked in. We have the same couch, same color.
Which
Same color.
Which couch? What
It's
color?
a sectional. Well, I have
Oh,
the
a
full
sectional?
thing. Shug has just the couch part.
Is it leather or rub it in?
Yeah, I do, and I enjoy just my couch part. No, it's beautiful. We both have the blue
blue?
crushed velvet.
You do? You both
Yes.
have that?
Isn't that
That's
weird
a
that
bold
we
choice.
both made such
And it
bold
pops.
choices.
I
without
bet it
knowing?
popped.
It
I
totally
ordered
popped.
a nice, sensible leather couch.
Lovely. Oh, you're gonna love it. I just
It's
adore
great.
my couch.
Yeah.
Thanks, article.
What was cool when I was
know.
ordering it, you could see how much of a discount you're getting over
Don't you love
traditional
that?
prices. Yeah. I was like, dang, these prices are great.
It's like just a really nice piece of furniture.
yeah.
Again, I've been an article customer for some time now.
So have I.
Yeah.
And it's free shipping on all orders over $999.
Ah, I wish I had that deal when I bought my couch, but here it is for you, everyone listening.
Yeah, I did not. I did not have this deal. I
Nor did
still
I.
bought it. Article is offering our listeners $50 off their first purchase for $100 or more. To claim, visit article.com/Viall. Go to article.com/Viall, and the discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/Viall to get $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more.
You guys have to try it. It's great quality, beautiful.
Again, we didn't even have a code.
We
So
didn't even have a code. Yeah, we paid full price and are so pleased with
Couldn't be
these
happier.
couches. Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, so like Paradise, it was basically the Blake show. And again, like
He was panicking.
I don't fault Blake for listen, the problem with Blake, and just it's a little different than Jed, is again, Blake, if you want to go on The Bachelorette and then not have Becca pick you, and you want to have sex with everyone, go for it. I don't have a problem. Doesn't make you a bad guy. The problem what Blake has been doing is Blake had this edit, and everyone loved Blake. And he was like the Tyler last season, not quite Tyler status,
No.
but like he was that version of, like he's so sweet and genuine.
Yes.
He should have been the Bachelor.
Yes.
He's just a guy looking for love and blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And it turns out he's a guy who also just wants to have a ton of sex.
I guess so.
I don't fault him for that.
Yeah.
The problem is that he also wants to keep this image of I'm the great guy.
Oh, yeah. Him panicking about what everyone's going to
And
think.
having people lie and asking Kaylin to lie to him and things like that. That is not okay. That when you do that, that's when you devalue. I totally get that Kaylin felt shitty about the fact that Blake's asking her to lie about the relationship and calling the experience a mistake.
That's
because it's all
terrible.
about his image.
Yeah.
And he's not being respectful. If you want to have sex with Kaylin and you don't want to be in a relationship with her, you say that before. You say like, listen, just so you know, like this is where I'm at, you know, but we don't know a lot of the details, but according to her, like they were hanging out.
And he was DMing Hannah in bed with her.
He's like, yeah, that's all like just dirty.
Icky.
You know, like, that's gross and whatever. As a single guy, I guess technically you can do that, right? Or, you know,
yeah, that's the thing. Technically, yeah.
No, but listen, like men and women both do that. It's the lying, right? I mean, Blake even like weirdly is like admitted that he told Kaylin that he hooked up with Christina the night before. Props for that, you know, like again, just be honest, just be upfront. And when you start asking people to lie for you, to me, that's why Blake looked bad. It wasn't the fact he's been having this sex. I mean, that's kind of gross. If he's going back to back, yeah.
Maybe like pick from different pools of women,
Again,
not all friends with each other.
To me, that's just stupid and tacky.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if anything, Blake just kind of seems dumb.
Right, like Chris Harrison says in this episode, he's never experienced this before.
Yeah, and he got careless and reckless. It's not as Machiavellian as what Jed seemed to have has done.
Right.
It sounds like it's only going to get worse for Blake, and I hope he sees the light. And I've met Blake a couple times. He seems like a nice enough guy. But like this lying, again, that's the problem. What Blake is doing is the problem out there in the dating world where these guys are just like, just be upfront. Let the person give someone an opportunity to get mad at you in the moment for the thing that you don't want to give them.
And then say no.
Yeah. If you don't want to meet someone's expectations in a dating situation, give them an opportunity to get mad at you. They might get mad at you and they might say you're a dick or blah, 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 but you are being honest with them and you have honesty on your side.
Yes.
And you can be the guy who's like not emotionally available and whatever. Fine. They can say things like you've changed or you're different. Fine. But you are being upfront and honest.
Yes.
It's the lying. And again, going back to the Jed part, I would be willing to bet that if Jed came clean to Hannah in the fantasy suite, goes in the fantasy suite and he's like, Hannah, I got to be honest with you. Here's the situation. I'm totally wrong. I'm expecting you to break up with me, but I was leading this girl on. We were never technically dating, but fuck, man, I told her I loved her and whatever, and she's waiting for me, and I don't know what to do because honestly, I truly love you, and I just need to come clean with you. Hannah, they would be together right now.
But didn't he do that after he proposed?
No, after he proposed, he told her little bits and pieces. Right. He told her there was this girl he was hanging out with, but they weren't dating. He didn't say he was in love with her. Right. He didn't say he had sex with her the night before. He didn't say he was taking trips with her. And Hannah, her only reason in AFR of her saying why she's not going to get back together with Jed was, I can't start a relationship with a liar.
Right.
And that's it. He lied to her. He kept telling her a bunch of half-truths. If he totally came clean in the fantasy suite, I'd be willing to bet those two would be together right now. Because think about Hannah. Like, Hannah has even admitted she loves a project. And the fact that Jed comes clean and and then in that moment, Hannah feels like she can trust Jed because he fucked up before he met her, but he's told her everything. And even on that podcast, he's like, I felt like I was telling her everything I've never told before, but you didn't, Jed.
Yeah.
You told her your version or whatever. It's just a bunch of crap.
Goodbye, Jed. We're done talking.
Final thoughts. Jed had a problem with his criticism. One thing, that I came after his family somehow.
Right.
If Jed thinks I came after his family because I suggested his family would prefer him on American Idol as opposed to The Bachelorette, I stand by that. It's also hilarious.
Doubling down.
Also, you're the only one who brought your family into this bullshit with your lies and deceit. And Jed was saying how his family reaction was just based off of confusion. How many hometowns have there been in the history of the show?
Right.
Hundreds?
Right.
Every family is a little confused about what this process is. Right. Have we ever seen a reaction like this before?
No.
Okay. So, anyways.
He's no lawyer, but he's sure acting like one.
Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Just be honest, people. Just be upfront. Paradise. Again, Paradise. I also think the Clay.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
He's in the clear.
He broke up with her.
Yeah.
Annalise.
He's looking good.
I don't think you're here for the right reasons. Based on what, Annalise? Because he hurt your best friend by breaking up with her? again, I am sorry your friend got hurt and that sucks, but he broke up with her and he has the right to move on.
But also when you break up with someone, don't say, just not right now, maybe in the future. That's a terrible thing to say to someone.
Did he say that?
She said he wanted to marry her eventually.
Okay, that's not cool.
That's not cool.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, back to like, you know what I bet that is like break up with him.
Yeah.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
You can be respectful and you still might crush someone's soul in the moment. But give them an opportunity to hate you so they can move on.
Yes.
Don't fucking dangle a carrot so that you like in the moment stop them from crying in front of you. And then that's the one thing that they latch onto. Well, he said maybe in the future.
I've done that.
We people do it all the time, but stop fucking doing it.
No, I've latched on.
Well,
and then,
yeah,
and then you
like,
get years of your life gone because you're waiting.
Yeah, and again, also for those of you, for all the people listening, and I'm sure they're relating this, and I bet our 10% guys are the type of guys who've had the girls do it to them. You are adults, so when someone says one thing and all their actions do another,
Yes.
like they're the fuck boys and fuck girls of the world. Just because someone wants to have sex and they are not meeting your expectations of what you want from them doesn't make you a fuck boy. But when they start pretending to be your boyfriend and girlfriend, but say they're not, get out.
Get out.
Like listen to their words and actions. And then when they don't meet up, that means that like they're just fucking with you.
We need like Dare, but for fuck boys. Like.
Yeah, I mean,
resistance education.
Anyways, what a rant. Well, again, this episode with Chris Harrison is great. Super glad he's following me on Instagram now. How did you even notice that?
I noticed it.
Wow. Was he following everyone else?
Oh no, I've opened a can of worms here.
Oh. Anyways, Chris Harrison. No, it's really great. I hope you guys enjoy it. And up next, Chris Harrison, everybody. Chris Harrison, how are you?
Nick.
Thanks for coming.
Well, that was the intro?
Well, we do. Well,
I thought there'd be something bigger.
Wow, he's already shitting on the show.
No, I was going to say, we hear that all the time.
We do an intro.
Thought it was going to be bigger.
Yeah.
We're gonna. This is a break out of. We're gonna try to sell some people some things they need.
All right.
And then now we're talking to Chris.
Now we're going to sell
you.
Iced Eskimos. Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
It's time we sit down and have an awkward talk.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
We've had so many weird, awkward talks in our life.
So do you regret it?
Yeah.
What are you really feeling here?
Oh, no.
But this is the first time we've turned the tables where you get to ask me questions.
Yeah. I feel very lucky. Chris is, you don't do a lot of podcasts. We talked about, you've done a fair share over the years.
Yeah, I do sparingly. And the people I love that when they ask, and honestly, you've never asked. And I think there's part of that too, where there is, no, I don't mean that in a bad way. I think that honestly, everyone's a little bit like scared to go, hey, will you just do my podcast? Like Caitlin Bristow asked me, will you do my podcast? And I said, yeah, I had parameters, which was come to my house, we drink my wine and hang out. And then you actually asked last week, and I said, absolutely, I'll do it. Yeah, I love you guys, and I'm happy to help, and I love to be a part of it, and love to see you all. And well, not everybody. Let's be honest.
Spill the tea.
You and I, Nick and I have remained good friends, and so yeah, when you asked, I jumped at the chance. I said, sure, I'll come in and drink out of your face.
It's really gracious of him.
For those that can't see, I'm drinking out of a Nick Viall prison mug.
Rochelle's obsessed with them. We got them made. I hate
they're
them.
ridiculous.
They are ridiculous. I hate them. Well, thanks for coming. We talk a lot about. We had the pleasure of having Lauren, your girlfriend, on the show, and she's she raved about you. So now this is your time to return.
Is that
the
what
favor.
this is about? I have to. Okay.
Yeah. So I just want to remind you.
I've prepared a little something I want to read.
She said a lot of nice things, Chris.
Okay.
So now would probably be the no.
Okay.
No, but she was really great, and she shared a lot of some stuff of how you met. I thought it was really interesting, and
she broke the news on our relationship on your podcast.
Thank you, Lauren.
She did call to warn me after it was over. She's like, by the way, I just want you to know.
After?
As soon as the podcast was over, she said, hey, I did tell Nick some stuff, and she knew this was a safe place and a safe space, and that's why she trusted you and didn't mind. And
yeah, and I
by
asked
the
her
way,
before,
like
if it
I
was
care.
cool. Yeah. She was great.
Fire away. I'm a lucky son of a gun.
There you go. See. Well, what I always thought was most interesting, and we talk a lot about dating on this podcast, is she talked about how you met, and it made me think about I know technically you and Lauren don't like work for the same company
Right.
or anything like that, but she's become kind of the Bachelor over the years, kind of correspondent with all of the networks, but especially ET, and she's always there. So you in essence work with Lauren, and I was really, ever since knowing you dated, kind of paying attention to the things that she covers, and then you, and she obviously like she's doing her thing, especially even with the Jed drama and stuff like that. I really appreciated how you guys were still able to do your thing and there's no conflict of interest. Is that something you guys kind of talked about, or is it interesting, or working with someone, was that a challenge at first?
At the very beginning, we did have the conversation of, do we want to do this? When we met and we actually went on a date, and we could tell there was chemistry and we really liked each other and there was something there, then there was the conversation of, do we really want to do this? And I'll be honest, I was a little selfish because I don't really care. I've been doing The Bachelor long enough that I don't really care whose feathers I ruffle and how many waves I cause, because my personal life is much more important to me than my professional life now. I've earned the right to get to that point because I'm old enough to do that. You know, she's grinding, and she is on the other side of the business where I am the host of a show that she covers sometimes. She does so much more, by the way, with Entertainment Tonight and so many other facets of her life professionally. But I did say, I get the conflict of interest. I respect that. And I empathize with that. So this is really up to you. Do you want to do this? And then she laid a big kiss on me, and I said, okay, we're doing this.
I guess that's a question for Lauren, if just hearing that from you, of just kind of empathizing with her. If that
I
was
wanted
kind
to
of
be
a relatable
respectful. I was
moment.
cognizant of the fact that I could be an issue. It definitely wasn't going to be for me. Although, there's things I have to navigate and be respectful of, and I want to make sure that, I treat other outlets the same. And it's really funny. Our interviews now haven't changed.
I've watched some of them, and I've noticed that. I've watched some of them and thought, is she like even more like?
I'll be honest. I'm scared to death of Lauren. And this is one of the things I love and respect about her. Before I dated her, was she's good. She's one of the best interviewers I ever face. And when I go into an interview with her, I have to have my head on straight, because she is so good at just finding the crack and then going in, and not in a salacious way or anything crazy. Just she's a really good interview. She does her homework. She's smart. She's a great conversationalist, and so you can't just go in haphazard and just cruise through an interview, because she's going to bust you on it. And so I like the way she pushes me. And that was one of the things I was really attracted to before we ever started dating, is I really looked forward to our interviews. And this is when, she was still married. I was married even. And I just really loved her interviews, and just because she was good. And so I still look forward to it. But now, oddly enough, I'm more scared of her when I go in to do interviews. Because A, she's still a good interviewer, but B, now I feel like I have to perform for her.
I can imagine.
There's performance anxiety is what I'm saying.
For her interviews.
You really need to be on top of your game. I can imagine her like after the interview and be like, what the fuck was that, Chris? Like,
I know. Like, God.
No, she is. In my experience, like having been through the show, as the Bachelor or even a contestant, you get to interview with a lot of people. And there's some people you feel like are just kind of mailing it, and they're just asking you basic questions. And then there's the other like gotcha people who are like, they're just trying to get you in trouble.
Right.
And Lauren's has a good balance of, not that she asks you gotcha questions, but you can tell she's thought of her questions and prepared. And then it's interesting. It's easier as someone asking questions, because like, oh, I haven't been asked that before. Great.
Well, and that's the thing is, and this shouldn't sound like a novelty, but she does her homework, and she's smart, and she's a good interviewer. And so it's, you've done a million of these interviews, and it's amazing how many times you'll be doing an interview and you just want to shake the person and say, have you ever watched my show? Do you know anything about, did you take 4 seconds and even Google me before we did this interview?
I was one time, I won't name the net, it wasn't ET or the person, but like it was right after Ari's season, and they're like, man, just, CBS must be really excited about all these numbers. And I'm just like,
yeah, wrong.
It's on ABC.
Right, yeah.
And this was after she was like kind of negging me a little bit. And I was just like, really? Like, you just
Wow.
Yeah. So she's easily one of the best interviewers I ever face. And this is before I needed to suck up to her because she's my girlfriend. She's great. She's phenomenal at what she does. I really admire her work ethic. It's obviously one of the things I'm attracted to.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but for some of us that didn't hear that episode of the Viall Files where we found out how you did meet, did you hit on her when she was interviewing you?
Well, I didn't until I did.
Was that after she slid into your DMs?
No.
She slid in.
This is really weird.
He flirted first.
Okay, so here's the weird thing about, and I think you can relate to this. You do 1,000 interviews or pictures and you meet people, and it's one of the things I love about my show or about my job is that you meet so many people.
You can call it your show.
But I oftentimes,
Let's rename it.
Don't put a face or a name to people that I'm doing interview because you're just doing so many. You say you're on a red carpet or whatever, and sometimes I'll look back at pictures after a night and think, wow, that person I was with was really attractive, or that was really good, or I don't even. You just don't see it. It's a weird thing to say, but it's
you kind of go into
you're just in the zone.
mode.
I'm in the zone, and I'm trying to think about what I want to say and what show I'm on and what secrets I need to keep, and I'm just worried about putting on a good interview for somebody. And so Lauren was kind of like that. We interviewed for years, and to her credit, she wasn't flirty at all. I believe she was married, and so she wasn't flirty, and I was dating at the time somebody else, and so we didn't have that chemistry. We didn't have that thing. But the last Bachelor in Paradise, she came down to Puerto Vallarta. She did the pre-season interviews, and all of a sudden, I saw her for the first time. We'd known each other kind of for years, but I really saw her for the first time, and she did this interview. And I will admit, I got a little flirty. And then she called me on something.
Wait. Hold on. You're not just getting to drop it off there. What is flirty to you? What did you do? Did you touch an arm? Was there a brushing of the hair?
No. There's no physical contact. There's no unwanted physical contact.
Very good.
That's creepy. That's creepy Uncle Larry.
Different times, Shug.
Yeah.
Listen, this is my flirt.
No, but like while we're doing an interview, I was just, I don't know, maybe I just was more charismatic and more personal.
Yeah, a little hold of the eye contact.
And I never would go into the next room, the green room where all the reporters are and waiting. But after she left, I actually went in there.
He kind of like
and struck up a conversation. I was trying to strike up a conversation with her, but I got hijacked by some other reporter who thought I was in there to kind of see everybody. And so it kind of failed in a way, but it was still flirty. And we went back to that, and she's like, yeah, I kind of did notice that you've never come in that room before to talk to people. And so that's when it kind of started. And then we had that conversation at the tell-all. I think it was Becca's season of the tell-all.
And then she DM'd you. Did you get were you kind of excited? Because at this point, from you, it's like you're kind of planting these seeds, I don't really, where's the opening? And then she reached out.
After the conversation we had in the parking lot where I was just standing there, I was taking a break from hosting and she was taking a break from sitting there watching the show. She came out and we really got into this deep, in-depth conversation, a personal conversation about our lives and stuff and dating and all that. And for the first time, that's when I really saw her and I thought, wow, like, there's a real person here, because before then it had been a camera and an interview, and so this is the first real conversation we'd had, and I'm like, wow, she's beautiful, she's smart, intellectual, she's bold, and I'm like, this is a pretty amazing woman. Who is this? And then when she went into my DMs, we'd already kind of had this rapport and this chemistry, and so it kind of took off from there.
Did she write you up?
Who
No.
dis?
Who dis? You up? Who dis? New number. Who dis?
No, it was still fairly professional.
Yes, good. No, I mean, you're clearly two very serious and wonderful
right,
people.
And then it took a while to go, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Let's go on a date. And then we went on our first date. And then the first date was really like two people interviewing each other.
Oh, no.
It really was. She really interviewed me. She tried to take control. I was trying to take control and interview her. A lot of it was
a
very...
lot of good
what did
listening.
That feel like?
Yeah, it was like two bad interviews.
Hold for commercial break.
And one of the things she did do after our first date, she's like, I didn't think you were that great because you talked a lot. I said, you interviewed me.
Oh.
Right.
It was a full-blown interview.
Have you ever had dates like that where like, well, you talked a lot. I'm like, I've answered all your questions. Like, what do you want me to say? All jokes aside though, but like,
Was that me?
Rookie mistake. That is your phone.
My
Oh,
God.
so
Who's hitting you up?
embarrassing.
Who's
phone
hitting you
just
up
went
at 9:30 on a Friday morning?
I think I know what it is. I need to pay my Verizon bill because it's these local Wisconsin area codes,
Oh, boy.
and like they know like they're calling you from that. But I was thinking about that too in terms of like dating before you met Lauren, and I got to assume there's a level of comfort and just like it felt like we were interviewing each other, but yet there's a familiarity there of guys getting to know each other. And I know for me in my dating life, sometimes the struggle is it's really just about, and I've talked about this before, just feeling safe, just knowing that you can be really yourself around someone. And before you met Lauren, and compared to when you met her,
Right.
was there a lot of that when you would go on dates and meet people? And I'm sure they were great women, but like, was that a struggle you had, and that Lauren kind of, other than her being great as well, like allowed you to kind of get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, I dated for, I've been divorced for over 8 years, I think, about that. About 8 years. And so obviously I've dated a lot, and I do it quietly because I like to keep my private life quiet for the most part. Obviously with Lauren, it's been a little different. And that was another conversation too, of how public we're going to be and how that's going to go. But yeah, I think when you meet somebody who disarms you and makes you feel comfortable, safe, where you just don't have a care in the world, it's so refreshing. And it's funny that and you know this from dating, is that you fight it sometimes. You try to fit a square peg in a round hole, so to speak, and you're like, well, there's so many other great attributes, but it never feels quite right. And with Lauren, I will say it does. It's so comfortable. And in large part because what an amazing woman she is. And we just have that chemistry and we have that rapport. And I think there's a lot of similarities with where she's from in the Midwest, how I grew up, how she thinks of family, the connection she has with her mom, her sister, and her brother, and my mom and my brother. And so the connection and the things that link us together and bond us together are very similar. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
That's awesome. That's great. I want to get back to, I don't know this, and maybe because you haven't done a lot of podcasts, I'm hoping you haven't talked a ton about it, but I do know when you got started, you were a sports anchor. And just, I actually don't really know the answer to these questions. I know you were covering the Dallas Cowboys, you came over, but how did this all happen for you?
The Bachelor?
Like, yeah, and just coming to LA and being basically known as the host when it comes to love.
Yeah.
And it's a total 180.
Yeah, it really is a bizarre story that wasn't intended. And I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about life, and the way I feel about life, and I try to impart on my kids is, have goals, set goals, but don't be so married to them that, when another door opens, you don't walk through it.
Yeah.
My goal in life, and you're an athlete in college and all that. So was I. Played soccer. And that was my goal, was to get to college, try and get college paid for, and play soccer. And I did. Then when I got there, I found sportscasting and I found television, fell in love with it. That became my life and my goal. And then after, being a sportscaster in Oklahoma City, and I actually moved to LA in May of '99 to be a sportscaster, to start up a horse racing network. And when I got out here again, I was just open to opportunity. I did a game show. I did a home and garden show called Designer's Challenge that was hugely popular for about 3 or 4 years. It was their #1 show for a while. And I just started falling into this business, and then realized that I really liked the hosting gig. And I didn't travel much as a kid. We didn't have a lot of money. I'd never been to Hollywood. I had no idea or dream of moving to Hollywood. That wasn't my thing. I really wanted to move back home to Dallas and cover the Cowboys for the rest of my life and be, happily ever after. But once I got out here, there was just a lot of opportunities. And one of the things that was always on this list was The Bachelor, this reality show. Survivor had just kind of started. And then I heard about this reality show that I was on. There's always a list in Hollywood of people that are up for parts or up for roles. So I was on this list, never interviewed, never did anything. And finally, after a year, my agent called and said, by the way, you're still on this list. I'm like, oh, whatever. There's 4 of you and they want to meet with you. I said, great. God. So I go and I meet with this guy, Mike Fleiss, and the meeting was terrible. We hated each other. It was horribly wrong. And I left, and they offered, and my agent called and said, how'd it go? I said, it was the worst meeting I've ever had in my life.
What? I mean, I've had, what about that felt wrong?
So I'm a really conservative guy. Okay. Grew up in Texas, Oklahoma, faith-driven, church-going guy. And, you know, I go in with my suit, my hair parted. You know, I'm still Midwestern-looking guy. And then there's Mike Fleiss. And if you don't know Mike, he's the creator of the show. And he, you know, had his board shorts on and black T-shirt, sunglasses on inside. I'm just like, I look at him and I'm like, you're everything that's wrong in the world. He looked at me and he's like, you're everything that's wrong in the world. So it was oil and water.
Yeah.
And so we kind of left and was like, great, I hate you. I hate you. I'm glad we did this. And my agent called and said, yeah, they offered it to somebody else.
Who?
I will not out him because I know him.
Denzel Washington.
Morgan Freeman. Actually.
More, can you imagine?
Yeah, he would have been good.
Is he so sad now that he didn't?
You know, I don't know.
get it?
There was this small pool of hosting guys, and he was one of those guys that we traded jobs, and we all went for the same auditions when I was around. Kind of when I first moved here, there was like 4 or 5 of us that were really banking a lot of jobs, and there was this one particular casting agent, and she would always call like the 4 or 5 of us guys when she needed guys because we would always give great auditions. And she would even say, "You're not going to get this job. You have no chance to get this job. I need someone who will go deliver. And I know you'll always
That's so
deliver."
interesting. People don't realize that about casting is that the casting director themselves just needs to show that they know good people.
Yeah, if you send 10
you're
people
not
in-
right, but
You just kind of always go in assuming you're not going to get it. That kind
But
of
she was great.
Yeah.
She was honest, and she's like, "You're not going to get this. Do me a solid." She's like, "You're going to get. I'll tell you when you're up for parts that you'll actually have a shot at." She said, "We're going to get you a job. You're good, and you got skills, and you're new, and you're fresh." So, and she did. She found me 2 jobs. I did the Home and Garden show, and then she got me the game show. She was great. And so this guy was one of those guys, and we were very different types. He was very hosty, really over the top, you know, hey, everybody, that kind of guy, which has his place. He ended up doing a game show or a show for Fox so not too long ago. But it was, you know, I'm just very, what you see is what you get, kind of the guy next door. You know, my personality is also my hosting style.
you
for the
do.
most
You
part.
feel kind of like a friend in your home.
And that's what they wanted. They were, you know, and at the end of the day, everybody, so from the network to the studio to Mike, they all take credit for not trying to hire the other guy and coming to me.
But you know the
But
truth.
clearly somebody did offer him a job. And
So
then-
did he turn it down?
No, they rescinded it. That's why I don't want Adam. They rescinded it and
Okay.
went with me. So 2 weeks later,
Heartbreak.
yeah.
Hey,
So they offered the other. They offered the other guy, and then you're
There's
like,
some
oh, you-
really shitty stories about stuff like that. And this is why it was really bizarre. So I got The Bachelor, and I'm like, well, did I?
Oh, yeah, right.
So I went home, and it was Christmas of 2001, 2001, and then The Bachelor started taping in 2002. So I went home for Christmas over the holidays, and I didn't tell anybody
Oh.
that I got this network gig because did I get it? I don't know. Because I had also just had another friend that did this show, this daytime show on a ship with comedy and all this other stuff. And it's a small world. And some guys called him and said, "Hey, I just auditioned for your show." He's like, "Oh, you're going to be on it?" It's like, "No, I just auditioned for your job." He was already in principal production, already shooting the show, and they replaced him. And so we were all scared to death. And you have to go back. We were young. We were young kids, and
How old
these
were
were our
you
first
when you
jobs.
first got The
Well, I wasn't
Bachelor?
that young. I was 30, but
That's young.
I was 29, 30 years old when I got The Bachelor.
That's
Wow.
incredible.
That's so
But when I moved here, so
exciting.
I'm 28, 29 years old doing, going on these auditions, and you're just grinding it out, man. You're just grinding. I love that. And I kind of miss that. I went to an audition
No, you don't.
a little bit. I went to an audition.
He misses the excitement of it.
You
but
miss it when it was fresh and new, but by 35, you would have been done.
I don't miss, being poor and unemployed.
Yeah.
or rejected.
Yeah, or rejected. But I don't know. There's something
yeah, there's
about
something about the grind and the hustle.
Well, there's something about sports. I went for a show. I'll even say it. It was Monopoly Millionaires Club, the game show that the guys that did Deal or No Deal did. And I hadn't been to an audition in a while. And the guys that did that knew me from something else and said, "Dude, you're great for this. Please come in and audition. But we do need you to audition." Because a lot of times now I don't audition. They'll pitch a show to me because they already know who I am and they just want me to host. And that's usually how things happen. But this was going to be a full-blown audition. And I really relished the fact that I was going in and I had to grind and do this. And it was on the line, and they chose Billy Waddell. I think that's his name, the comedian.
Poor choice.
Well, it didn't last.
yeah, it didn't last. And then you get the gig, and as kind of like you talked about before, there's still so much unknown. I mean, in your wildest dreams, did you imagine, like what did you think of The Bachelor when you got the gig? Other than the fact it was a network show, like, oh, that's cool, this is neat, but like the concept, like, what did you think?
I was scared to death. I was scared because, the only thing that this company had done that I knew of was Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire? And that was the Rick Rockwell, Darva Conger.
I remember that.
I watched
big
that.
scandal. So my thought was, oh my God, like, am I going to be able to show my face back home if I do this show? Because the thought of it and the idea was like, wow, this one guy's going to date 30 women. And the only saving grace and the reason I did it, if it had been on Fox, I don't know if I would have done it. The fact that it was on ABC, and that's no offense to Fox, they were just at the time, they
Push the limits.
They were pushing the limits, doing really salacious stuff. And I thought, And so ABC, Disney, it has to have a certain amount of decorum and respect. So that's kind of what sold me on doing it. And it was my first network gig. I got paid pennies to do it. And, people think, oh, you get this network gig, you're set. Well, you're not. I had 2 other shows at the time. I had 3 jobs while I started The Bachelor.
That's great. And then,
but you don't know. It didn't. So ABC was a dumpster fire at the time. Well, it's, networks will do this where they have these great shows and they're killing it, but then those shows age and they get a little long in the tooth. That was the end of NYPD Blue, 8 Simple Rules, the John Ritter show, George Lopez show. Was like all these shows were kind of dying and coming to an end of their cycle. And so
they were looking for something
ABC
new.
was looking for something new, and they were like, well, reality. And so when they bought the show, it actually, the first season didn't do great. We did well, but
Really?
not great.
Okay.
And then it was over the summer. So we actually premiered in the spring. Then over the summer, there was just this groundswell of support, this phenomenon, and the show blew up. By the time we came back, season 2, which was Aaron Berge, that I could tell my life had just changed. I wasn't sure how, because it was like going to the Super Bowl your first year in the league. But we had 33 million viewers the end of that first season, or the end of season 2 with Aaron Berge. Then Trista came on, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how yet, but I feel like my life just changed.
And when, I'm assuming people started noticing in grocery stores and things like that.
It's really been the best rise, because it was really a steady, my whole life has been just this steady rise. My professional life, it was, I was a big fish in a small pond in Oklahoma City, and I got to cut my teeth and really become a good journalist and a good interviewer and a good listener. And I really got to hone my craft in Oklahoma City. Felt like a big deal. And it was at the time. And then I came out here and did a home and garden show, and I did some other stuff and got to cut my teeth and get into the business. And then when The Bachelor started, it was a slow burn. And so, and the show's never been a huge host-driven show. So I've always got to kind of fly under the radar. And even to this day, I kind of get the benefits of being known, but not really having my life destroyed.
Yeah, you do have a pretty normal
It's perfect,
life.
really. Yeah. No, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I've worked hard to do that. And that's a conversation I even had with Lauren. I'm like, I'm a very private person. I'm pretty protective. I don't put my life out there on display because I love my private life. I love my friends. Most of them are not in the business. Most of them aren't even on social media. And so that's not their life, it's mine. And so I try to separate the two, and it's kept me mentally extremely healthy and happy.
Oh, that's so good.
You must be a really hard worker, or what do you attribute? Because you're like, oh, I just fell into it. But people don't just fall into
No, you don't
careers
just fall
like this.
into it. It's, I always say what you see on The Bachelor, you're seeing like the top 10% of the iceberg. You're not seeing, I've been at this game a long time. I've been on TV since 93 when I graduated college. I've been on TV. So I've been at this a long time. And so I always say it took a long time to become an overnight sensation. But I'm a grinder, and I've always been a grinder. My family, came from pretty humble means, and they worked hard. And, my mom is one of the hardest workers I know, and has recreated herself many times over, and is one of the most successful real estate agents in Dallas, and has been for some 30 years. And it was all her. She created it. And so I have so much respect for my brother, my family, and that's all I know. And so I do. I like the grind. I like the work.
Well, one question I kind of piggybacking off of Rochelle's is on my season of The Bachelor, on Andy's season, my first season.
Your season.
No, well, I meant to say my first season.
Yeah.
there was a GQ article where you were kind of that you gave an interview of.
Oh, yeah.
And they taught one thing. My biggest takeaway, or that I remembered, is the interviewer talked about how you have no wasted words. And he pointed that out, and I was very envious of that because also that was, again, my first season on TV, and I found out for the first time how much I say things like and all the time. How, like, is that something you had to, does that come naturally? Speaking to Rochelle's question, like, are you aware of that you have wasted words? Because I have a lot of wasted words. I was like, wow.
That is a good compliment.
That was a great, that's all I remember from the article, and it was a really big takeaway.
It's probably something that was not necessarily thought of, but honed over years of just being on TV and realizing that you have a finite amount of time. The other night on the finale of The Bachelorette, both nights actually, Monday and Tuesday, were really crazy. When you do live TV, I always tell people in this business, you can control two things. How you get into a show, it's got to be clean because you control that and it's scripted. How you get out of a show, typically scripted, and you have that hard time of when you get out. Everything in between, you never know what can happen on live TV, but I always say you should at least control those two things. The other night, Monday and Tuesday, we had really random things to end the show. And it really left. So Hannah wanted to say something Monday night and I needed her to deliver. And then I had to get us out, and it was a really tight time. Sometimes you have what's called a credit bed, and you have like 45 seconds that you could talk over that credit bed. But Monday night, we had to hit it on the second. And I take such simple pleasures and things no one will ever notice, but we nailed it. Just nailed it Monday night.
Congratulations.
And so I think back to your question, you don't have time to waste. You got to choose your words wisely and get to the point, especially when you're doing an interview on TV.
Yeah. I thought that was, yeah.
Wait, can you tell us more about the finale? What was it?
And then the finale on Tuesday night, the whole thing was going to end with this moment with Tyler.
Right.
So again, when you get to that, it's live TV. So you are off the air. And when a lot of times, and Nick knows, if we shoot the tell-all, which is taped, you can shoot all night. It doesn't matter. And then we will edit it and put it, and it'll look pretty in this package. That's why I love live TV is we had 4 minutes in the act with Tyler, period.
Wow.
And there were some things we needed to get to because we hadn't serviced Tyler at all. Yeah. So we had to do that. And Hannah has a tendency to not go quickly.
Have wasted words. I mean, hey,
she can
I'm
get
long-winded
lost
too.
Yeah, she can get lost. And so, and they're counting down in my ear, like 2 minutes. And we had this idea of at 2 minutes, we need to get to the part of, is she going to ask this guy out? Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure if it was going to go there, but we had to give it time.
Oh man.
And so here's the other dilemma. If she just spits the bit and it's over in 20 seconds,
then what do you do?
Now I'm filling for a minute and a half.
There.
And Tyler's like, no.
So it's really amazing in your head of you're on network TV, you're coming to the end of a show, you have to end it on time. And there is this intangible. It could be short, you got to fill. It could be long, I got to kill it. But I also have to create this content because it needs to be there. And so that is the stuff that that's what I get off on. That is my drug. I don't do drugs. That's my drug. I love live TV. I love the pressure of it. And it goes back to sports. And it's what I've always relished about sports is the ability to put yourself out there to fail. I've never been so afraid to fail that I don't allow myself to succeed. And that to me is such a key virtue in life. Is I love the ability to fail. And I try to teach my kids that. And I love live TV. That's walking on a tightrope without a net. Ooh. You could fall on your face. It could be a complete disaster. But if you've done your work, you've done your homework, you've trained, you've prepared, that's all you can do. And then you hope your body takes over in any situation that comes up, you can handle it.
Do you have any kind of flops that you can think of over your career? Live TV.
You know what's funny is I don't remember flops as much as I remember things. It's little stupid things that no one will ever know that you pull off.
Yeah.
And you get done with the show, and the people at home would never have noticed. Like there was one, I don't know why it sticks to my brain, but there was a Miss America moment. I hosted Miss America for like 10 years, and there was a moment where Brooke Burke or whoever was hosting with me was supposed to follow this I think it was Miss Alabama, ironically enough, off the stage and interview her. She was walking back because she had just been picked up or saved. And And Miss Alabama ran like she was shot out of a cannon, and they lost her. And I was already walking off stage, halfway behind stage, when they said, "Stop, camera 2, fill."
Just filling the time.
And you're on live TV. And so I stopped and I hit my camera and I filled for about 30 seconds.
Which is a lot.
Which is it's an hour and a half on TV.
I wish we could find that tape. That's hilarious.
And then they said, "We got her, go." And I said, "Yeah, Brooks caught up with Miss Alabama and da-da-da-da-da. You know, let's go her backstage." And I just walked off stage and it's like, no one will ever know I just killed that. And again,
so
it's
this
just
is a win. This is the story of a win of
Yeah,
like this 30
that's the- it's-
seconds.
That's what he remembered. That's what he's
Yeah.
saying. That's
like
what
I
he
remember
remembers.
Monday night.
Yeah.
I remember Monday night for so many other reasons than people watching the show. And it was killing the exit on the second and still having Hannah ad lib.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because she doesn't know. She doesn't have a clock in her head. She's not watching. She doesn't know that the stage manager is like going, 10 seconds. And I'm just calmly looking at her and I drag it and we get out. And like, those are the little victories. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
I love that so much. You could tell, like, I mean, I have a lot of experience hosting and doing what you do and with the countdown out of the clock, and it was making me sweat because I was watching her having a very good time.
Well, when you produce a show, like,
Yeah.
whether it's a podcast, anything, when you produce a moment and it comes off like you hoped, like you
Yeah.
intended it, those are the little things and our producers are phenomenal at what they do. And I, especially for those live shows, we all get together in my trailer before the show. We go over each act, each segment. What do we hope to get? And I have a producer, executive producer, Bennett, in my head while the show's going on, giving me times. What do we have to get to? We got to move on. And so it's a delicate balance. And it's this tightrope act that I always love. I get off on it. When I'm done, I'm done. I wake up hungover the next day. It's a beating, but I love it.
I don't remember which AFR it was, but it was when I was new to it all for the most part. Nice. Chris probably doesn't remember this, but I was going to the bathroom. Chris is going to the bathroom and he just looks at me. He's like, "Don't let me down."
I always say before we go on, I'm like, "Don't F this up for me."
Well,
It is like his show. That's like your big moment.
When I got it cast as the Bachelor, I just, I was waiting for like Chris to, say something, and he sends me a text, and I really appreciate it because I feel like we have similar senses of humor. It's a kind of dry, sarcastic, and Chris just texts me and goes, "Don't fuck this up for me."
That was your congratulations.
No, but I couldn't. It was really a fantastic.
Good luck. Don't F this up.
It made me laugh and smile. That's Chris. It wasn't like I wasn't expecting some sort of like over the sappies.
Yeah. Wrote you a poem.
Yeah. What a great
You
thing.
know what I loved is with Luke, where you just sat there and let him be like a minute of silence before he answered every
That's great too. That's a good point. It's like talking about just your experience and being on. Well, that's not live. That was the tell out. But just knowing to just live in a moment. It's hard. I mean, as a podcast, there's sometimes really great moments in silence of like building an awkwardness and like just having the awareness to let that marinate.
We all, as humans, we all want to fill space because it's uncomfortable. Like silence is uncomfortable. And so you just have this innate want to save somebody in a weird situation. But really in those situations, you want to leave them alone in this space wherever they are and their thoughts to like, where are they going? And I think it's fascinating to watch these people, especially Luke, who was really going deep and trying to figure out the right thing to say, not what he wanted to say. He was trying to figure out the right thing to say. And so I found it fascinating. And my goal in that interview was not to expose him or whatever, but just to show who he is and let him do his thing.
He seems to have that's the thing. My take on Luke is he just kind of embraced this whole, I don't get the sense, and I don't follow him on social media, that he, it seems like he's doubling down on who he is and leading.
Which is great. And I even said, he didn't hurt anybody.
No.
God bless him, man. If that's what floats your boat, then good on you. Whatever it is to get you through the day in this world, I'm fine with it. My only thing was he was condescending. He was misogynistic. And, I think some of his beliefs, not his beliefs, because I respect his religion, but his thought process is a little antiquated.
Hopefully, yes. And hopefully it can be altered. And we talked a lot about Luke.
But he's young.
He's young. And I quite honestly hope that this experience will be
a bit of awakening. I mean, again, different times though. When I was 24, I didn't have some of the progressive viewpoints that I have now. I mean,
God, none of us.
like-
I mean, that's the thing. Who were you when you were 24? Who was I when I was 24? If you put a big camera on me and followed me around, like,
Exactly.
yeah, probably would not have been the best guy in the world.
And especially different times back. I mean, you come from a conservative family. There were definitely things that I was taught or raised that I've said that it's just like, thank God I did not tweet that. You know, like Twitter didn't exist, but that you know. So there's some
100%.
some like
No,
I give him some slack, but hopefully it's an opportunity to again. His faith and everything, but some of the things he said, there's a growth opportunity,
Right, and
for
that's
him.
that's why I'm not mad at him. He's not a bad guy. He'll grow,
Yeah.
and that's what I hope for anybody who comes on our show. And you think, even since I've known you, you're a changed man. You're a different guy because you have so many more experiences, and that's how you grow: is experience,
Failure.
failure. All these things, the scars from things, the victories, it all adds up.
I always say, like, Bennett, you mentioned Bennett, and we've had conversations with other producers about my like only experience. And there's been highs and lows. And like I joked with Tyler that my first season was very different than, he's big right now and everyone wants a piece of him, and that's awesome and cool. And he deserves all of it. But like, I look back on my experience and I really wouldn't change a thing, especially with some of the really low lows.
Right.
But like, because of it, it just made me more well-rounded. It gave me a ton of perspective. And sometimes for a cast member in this world, the hardest thing to handle is the adoration and the love, because you get such swelled up and even if you are level-headed, your ego and your sense of self gets so distorted, and then you're eventually going to get some criticism, and then how you handle that is really sometimes challenging for a lot of people. And it really taught me a lot early on, and really kind of gave me an even keel of
It's
my
hard
experience.
though. It's really hard, and that's one thing I have trouble. I have trouble having that empathy because I, as I said earlier, had this nice slow ascent. Getting to 100,000 feet. And if you're a bachelor or bachelorette and you are Hannah, for example, who we just finished with, is in Tuscaloosa, and she's had a modicum of fame, the pageant world and all that, but this is different. She went from Tuscaloosa, Alabama to Jimmy Kimmel Live. That's not normal.
No.
Nobody, and I don't care who you are, is prepared for that. And so
It's
there is
surreal.
there's always a bounce. And I always give this grace period because Hannah's about to go through it, where your head's going to swell up. You're going to start feeling your oats. You change a little bit, but by the way, you have to change.
Yeah.
That's when it has a negative connotation when you say she changed. Well, you got to. People say that about me when I grew up. It's like, oh, you're different. Well, yeah, because I had to learn how to protect my family. I had to learn how to protect my privacy. I had to learn how to protect my money. My life is not the same that it was when I was drinking beer with you in Oklahoma City. It's a different world. I would like to think that as a man, I'm still the same as far as my beliefs and being a good
Core
person.
values,
Yeah.
yes.
But you have to change. So Hannah's going to change. She's hanging out with Demi Lovato now.
Yeah.
She wasn't doing that 3 weeks ago.
The hardest part about the lead or just any cast member on The Bachelor who's a fan favorite is that 6 to 12 months period when it's all done. Because to your point, she's hanging out with Demi Lovato, she's having fun, everyone wants a piece of Hannah. And slowly over time, less and less people will want a piece of Hannah. And like figuring out what everyone wants to do. And I was talking to Tyler. We were talking to Tyler after the podcast, and it was just kind of like, listen, you seem like a great guy. You have people around you. I think his sports background is really, really going to help him.
It does.
But it's, what do you want to do? You need to figure that out, because you'll be able to ride a wave for 6 to 12 months. But after that wave is
Well, you have to
done-
remember, in September, I'm about to introduce 25 to 30 more Hannahs to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Yeah, we have another season coming up. And but it's funny you mentioned that, because I thought about that with Colton too, is having that sports background. He played in the NFL, so obviously he's a little media savvy and he has a good head on his shoulders. I feel like Tyler's the same way. And people's backgrounds definitely help them. But even for Colton, man, it's a rude awakening. It's a different world because you really are all of a sudden being noticed everywhere and you feel great about yourself. And you mentioned something interesting. I guess the highs are higher, but I guess the lows are lower for you guys. I don't have that. I don't get that. When people rip on me or tear me apart and tell me I'm ugly or I have a big nose or whatever, I don't feel that. I could care less. But for you guys, you know, you have this adoration, but man, one comment can really tear you apart.
It really can. And again, sometimes I feel lucky too because I had the negative comments first.
You did too.
So
you could only go higher.
It was I was on Paradise and it was like, this is great. They were like and it was kind of a joke that way, but I did really appreciate that aspect of it because it gave me some of that balance. I mean, it was different because you talked about kind of a real even keel where for cast members, it's usually up or down, but it made me at least be able to, like, for me personally in my own mental state, kind of acknowledge it. Right. Even when I would respond emotionally in my head to something, I had the awareness to be like, I've talked, other cast members, everyone thinks this. And I was like, what do you mean? 30 people comment on your Instagram? So that's not everyone.
Yeah.
And also yesterday, they all liked something else you did.
People you have to remember that social media is the loudest 0.01%.
Yes.
And that's why we don't run the show via Twitter or Instagram or anything else, because it really is just most normal human beings, A, aren't even on Twitter or social media, and B, they don't care enough to comment. They're just living their lives.
That's a great point. They just don't, most people don't care or have the time.
I mean, they love the show. They like watching. And that's, even going on to spoilers and stuff like that, we get so caught up in things. And it's like, no, the majority of people don't. They don't know. They don't care. They're just watching this for entertainment. And they're not caught up in all of the BS that's going on in LA, New York, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. One question I do want to ask you before we get to our little game. As a 2-time runner-up, I always wondered, and I had this conversation once with JoJo way back when, the challenge of being the host.
Yeah.
And in a runner-up situation, the engagement the last final day.
Yeah.
I didn't have that experience with Andy, but I had it with Caitlin.
Right.
I remember JoJo, we were kind of joking around, and she's just like, that motherfucker winked at me?
Yeah. And she says I winked at her. I still don't know if I did that. And if I did, definitely not intentional.
Okay. I was curious about that. I will say this. Before I have you answer the question, cast members in America sometimes will criticize the show and producers, and you fall kind of under that umbrella as well in terms of, I can't believe they're able to do this. There are moments though, but few exceptions, but usually the best thing that can actually happen to you as a cast member and you don't realize in the moment is getting your heart broken, is getting dumped. That's like the best thing in terms of everyone's great moment. The other 29 people who don't get picked, there's just like, they have feelings and people empathize. You feel stupid in the moment, but that's your best moment. And so sometimes as cast members or America will get mad at them, but you're actually doing a lot of good things. The Caitlin breakup, how could she let me go that far? I realized after the fact, had the producers not insisted to make sure you need to let him try to do this, even though he's going to be mad at you, it was the best thing it was my best moment up until that point. Is that something that you have gotten good with, of knowing that in that moment someone's going to be heartbroken or mad or sad, and you have to have that poker face?
Yeah, it's easily the most difficult part of the show for me, because at that point I've gotten to know you. Mm-hmm. When you are one of 30, I'll be honest, I don't remember you if you're on night 1 or even night 2 and you go home, unless you've made a big impression somehow. But at that point, there's just so much. You're drinking from a fire hydrant at that point. Yeah. Once we get to the end, I've traveled with Nick. We've worked out together. We've done all this stuff. And so, I know JoJo and I care for her. And so when they walk up that final day, it is hard, but I have to just resign myself to the fact that this is part of the show. And to get to the good part, we got to get through this. And not everyone's going to win. Not everyone gets a ribbon. Some people lose in life, and that's the way it goes. And it's, at the end of the day, it is better. It is for the best, and it is part of the show. And that's kind of what everyone has signed up for. It is the chance to find it. And whether you know it at the time or not, you weren't meant to be with that person.
Totally.
And and you see that later, but it's tough in the moment.
Totally. And not to equate you guys, the producers or Chris, with God, but it's a lot of sometimes what you don't get is the best thing, the unanswered prayer, so to speak. And then producers always know what's going on behind the scenes, and you think there's something there. I'm Andy and Caitlin, both great. I'm thankful they didn't pick me. It worked out for the best. And that is a challenge.
If you
But
could have ended up with one of them looking back, who would it be?
Ooh.
I really don't think I
Gotta
have.
pick.
He's going to squirm.
Yes, look at him.
Sincerely, I have fond memories of both. Andy, the other day on Monday night, she sends me a text out of nowhere, and it was the picture of us at AFR when I dropped the sex bomb.
Yes.
And she sends me
What was
a
your
photo.
sex bomb?
He said.
I mentioned.
He said.
Yes.
If you didn't love
Love
me,
me,
why did you make love to me?
I wanted to
Come
make
on,
the
Shug,
name
that's
of this
money.
kid?
That's gold.
I remember because you've said that to me in the
Whoa,
same
wait, what?
No.
Oh.
Reenacting.
Oh,
I
got
haven't
it.
I'm a new viewer of the Bachelor
Oh,
shows.
welcome to the nation.
I wanted to make the name of the podcast "Making Love with Nick Viall."
nah.
He did not like it.
I try to. Listen. I don't. I guess I do
Okay,
regret
so
it.
3 women you've been with on the show. Andy, Caitlin. Who else? Name one more that you kind of dated or
What
came
made
with.
love
Vanessa?
to? Oh.
Vanessa?
Sure.
Okay.
Who would it?
F, marry, kill.
Come on.
Go.
Hey! Do it. You have to.
No, I can't. I can't. I'm not gonna. That is definitely. That's a headline. That's an ET headline.
100% it is.
Nick fuck Mary kills his.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Andy sent me a text. She's like, "This was 5 years ago," and it made me smile just that we're on this good page. Andy and I joke about it's easy for us, even is we don't have a close relationship. We still butt heads and fight. We're big personalities that way,
Yeah.
and
You guys would not be
strong-minded.
good together.
No, terrible. Caitlin, at the same time, I also have a lot of there's reasons why I went far. There's reasons why I loved them in the moment for those reasons. Caitlin's funny and snarky. It was always, we could riff off each other. But at the same time, I don't think there was a match there. It's hard for me to answer that question because I know them well enough now, and I know why we didn't end up together. So, to answer that question would be disingenuous.
I know it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I feel like you just do all 3 things to one person.
No.
No, Chris, you can answer.
Well, Nick and Andy, here's the thing. Andy may be the F or the kill because they're going to kill each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to go. They just have this combustible relationship that
Maybe while they're
when you're
effing,
young,
you
and that's
kill
one
her.
of those young relationships where you're like, oh, this is great, and you're just you're battling. Like life doesn't need to be this hard.
No. And when Andy texted me, we were laughing, and
Yeah.
it ended up us bickering over
Right,
text. It
exactly.
was wild. I was like, I don't want to fight with you. I think you're great.
Caitlin, I think, would be your Mary.
Aw.
Caitlin would always
Caitlin
be
would
fun.
be your Mary.
What's
Yeah.
that, Caitlin?
So Caitlin's the Mary, and then it's Andy, Vanessa, who's going to kill and who's going to F. We'll kill Vanessa. You're gonna F Andy.
Sure.
And then it's going to end in just flames.
Well, yeah, flames
You
for
really
sure.
thought about this.
No, I just invented it.
You just invented-
This is a fun game.
Yes. Look at him squirm.
Yeah. Well, that's just not a question I can ever get away with actually
Of course
answering.
it's not. No, it's like saying, hey, who's your favorite bachelor or bachelorette? I'm like, what am I going to say?
Yeah, no, yeah. What before? Actually, I didn't. I haven't watched the Paradise yet. We will, I'm sure, have covered it in our intro at
Right.
some point. Give us, a little. What are you excited for this season? Of course.
Well, you know what's funny?
Why? What's different? What's the same?
You brought up something, and I wanted to mention this because it really struck me is interesting with you. Is there's a Nick Viall. I feel like you really came in a changed man and really redeemed yourself and reinvented yourself on the Paradise.
Mhm.
You think that's fair?
Yeah, to the audience, for sure.
Yeah. I don't think
Yeah.
you were a different human being, but I think the audience kind of fell in love with you. And then you became the Bachelor.
I
after that.
felt like I will say Paradise. If you go back and watch all 4 seasons, Paradise is the only season where it's like that's me as a whole.
Yeah.
Because Paradise allows you
right.
to.
Well,
be more.
so Chris Bukowski is back this season.
Okay.
And he's kind of the Nick.
Great.
Like he really, Chris was, if you don't know him, kind of old school guy, kind of known for being the drunk, crazy guy. He's the guy at the bar that can, all of a sudden knock a table over or start a fight or break everything. It's like, that's him. He's a good guy. And it's interesting. He kind of comes back this year and he's the wise old sage now and dispensing advice. And you're going to see a different side of Bukowski. And we retired his jersey. We thought he was done. We brought him out of retirement. He's an interesting story, but I think it's our best season ever. There's so many layers and so many good stories to this season. It's pretty phenomenal.
It gets better and better. I thought my season with Josh and Amanda was an epic season. I thought last season I objectively liked last season just at least as much as my season. So it's exciting and I hear a lot of great things. Is there an opposite? Is there a bizarre? Is there a fall from grace? We might be able to see a little bit from someone who might be of a fan favorite. And then
Blake,
not so much Blake. I've heard
watch Blake. Hey, put your hand in the cookie jar enough times.
I mean, I've heard some stories. That's the thing. It's just like, and I kind of said this to Tyler after the show. Of Blake might be a tale you tell to former
cautionary tale
of a lot of the guys. It's different for the women. It is easier for women in this world in terms of what opportunities afterwards.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's better for women to come off the show. For brands and everything else.
But the men in public get women are watching the show. So it's a lot of like, oh my God. And
a lot of attention.
And then there's like bar opportunities and stuff like that. And you really have to know what to say no to. Blake's not the first person who was loved in his first season and had some warts afterwards. And that doesn't make them bad people at all. It's just...
In all fairness, again, you go back to who was Blake? Where was he from? And then all of a sudden, and it's not that he was an unattractive guy, and we don't even have to use Blake, any of these guys. They're all decent looking guys. They probably dated, but they never walked into a bar before and the music stopped.
The whole room turns.
Right. And every girl there wants to take a selfie and wants to be with them in some way. That's different. These guys came from total obscurity, never had that popularity, or they wouldn't have been on our show in the first place. And so now they have that modicum of fame, and it goes to your head, and it can also go to your head.
It really is so interesting because historically,
pun intended.
Historically, men aren't.
Thanks for picking up what I was laying down.
I'm picking up everything.
Yeah.
Men aren't as overtly objectified in public. And what you're saying for you Bachelor kids, it's like you come out and all of a sudden men are being very. And I love to objectify men.
So do I.
Don't you?
Yes.
But it's a unique phenomenon of your Bachelor Nation.
Well, I just think too, you're pulled from obscurity and you're given this platform, and now you are the popular guy, and you've never been the popular guy before to that level.
I was first time I met Blake, we were in Vegas for the iHeart, and I gave him a hard time.
He was feeling it.
He was feeling it. I was just like, you need to slow down, man, because we were in a cab together. And then, I can give him some slack, but we got to a stoplight and there was a crowd of women, and he rolled down the window.
Oh boy!
Stuck his head out, and I was just like,
because he knew the reaction he was going to get.
He wanted people to, and that was just. And again, having been in it for a while, and I'm sure you do as well. I want to see people have success. I don't want to see people make some mistakes that I know they're bound to make. And it's just like, if I have the opportunity, I'm just like, don't do this.
This is a teachable moment.
Yeah, here's a teachable moment. This is gonna I get it, but try not to. And listen, part of that is making my own mistakes too, and having done it and lived through it. But it is tough, and the men get objectified a little bit.
And I try to do this for, and you can vouch for it, is, when the bachelors and bachelorettes leave me, they all have my number. We text. I try to keep in touch, and at first they don't, because they're all smarter than I am. They've all, figured the world out. And then they all usually come back and go, okay, can you help me with this? So I'm like, if you ever need advice, you're about to be inundated with a lot of things, but we have a great network of people now, and not just me, but also fellow bachelors and bachelorettes that have been through this before. And you should rely on them, because they've made the mistakes you're about to make. It's kind of like listening to your parents. You don't, and then you make a mistake. You're like, damn, I should have listened to them. Yeah. And so I give Blake and all of them slack, because they're getting into a pool they've never been in before, and it's super fun and it's great. Their lives are changing, so enjoy it. And they're not bad people.
No,
and we all make some dumb mistakes.
Totally. You can be intimidating though sometimes. Sometimes we don't reach out.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, by the time when I not by your doing,
right?
You're Chris Harrison of The Bachelor. It's at this point, the Bachelor franchise is a part of American culture, and you're the face of it. And when I met you, I was meeting a big celebrity, and I didn't even watch the show that much before.
But once we kind of got into the meat of your season, you and I are jogging every day.
Totally.
Running with him is like running with an effing gazelle.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Chris.
It was really, side story. So we're in New Orleans. And so Bennett, again, our executive producer who I work with closely, and Bennett played college soccer. I played college soccer. Nick ran. So we're all fit. We can all run. We'd go for like a 4-mile run and, just to wake up and clear the cobwebs. And we'd be jogging and we'd be going at a pretty good clip. And all of a sudden Nick's like, you know what? I kind of want to stretch my legs out a little bit. I'm like, okay, we'll pick it up. And Nick's like, in less than 20 seconds is like a half mile ahead of us.
Oh, wow.
Like he was shot out of a cannon. And for like 10 seconds, I tried to keep up. And I really had that old man moment where I'm like, son of a bitch. But the good news is I could never do that. I could never run.
Right.
That's a different gear. That was impressive.
Thank you. I mean, I did run track, but also like I am getting older too. And you've told me about that moment. And now when I'm out there running, I'm feeling like my ability to do that
The only other person that did it to me was Colton.
Yeah.
Who was
athlete.
also an elite professional athlete when we were jogging in like Thailand or something like that. And he just took off. I'm like, oh, screw it.
He's 26. I was doing that when I was 36.
Well, I don't think I was doing that when I was 26 either. That's the thing is on the show, all these guys are so big. They're all fit. They're tall. And, it's one of the things when people see me, they're like, you're not as short as I thought you were. I said, no, I'm the opposite of Hollywood. Usually in Hollywood, you stand next to Tom Cruise.
Right.
Tom's 4'2".
They only cast guys that are like over 6. It's amazing how like every guy I meet, I'm like, they must have, like, there's a few, but like the 30 guys, 25 of them are 6'2" or high.
That's the great thing I loved most about Ari. It's probably why he's my favorite Bachelor. Is he looked older than me. He had more gray hair. He had a dad bod. I'm like,
I can do this.
Sweet. I'll sit next to you all day, man.
Oh, man.
Chris becomes the hottie of the season now.
Yeah, I'm like, finally. I'm the young, good-looking one.
All right, Chris, before we let you go, we're going to play a little game called Do You Know Me?
Okay.
It's a fun game we like to play with.
Is this Do I Know You or Do You Know Me?
Do we know you?
Oh, okay, go.
Does America,
so you ask a question, everybody in the room answers it.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to answer.
Okay.
I'm going to,
But you give me your opinion first.
Yes.
We're going to guess.
Okay, go. Blue.
All right. So do you know me? Do we know Chris Harrison? First question. Has Chris ever been in a fist fight? Ever in his life?
I'm going to say a big no.
I'm going to also say no.
I'm going to say yes.
He's broken up some for sure.
No, I'm like 7 years old, Oklahoma.
No,
like you don't.
Yeah.
No,
he wore a suit. He just
I'm going to
said.
say yes.
I grew up in Texas and went to school in Oklahoma. Yeah.
He's been in a fist fight.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's got some
But I
edge.
will say, and it's funny, Lauren asked me this a while ago. She's like, when was your last fist fight? I said, it was college. It was a long time ago.
college.
Oh,
Well,
that's
because I
kinda
played
hot.
soccer. We had some brawls in college and, you have those fraternity brothers that get you in fights. So, but college was it. I was never the grown adult that was in a fight or getting into fights.
No, that's what
Yeah.
See,
Wow.
And definitely when I was a kid,
I answered this question.
grade
thinking
school, I was in my brother used to get me into fights because I had an older brother and he would argue with his friends. And he'd be like, my brother can kick your ass. Chris, fight. I said, I don't want to fight him. He's like, kick his ass. And and you're a kid in Texas, I would be
have
in a
to,
fist fight with a person I didn't even know for no reason.
No.
Welcome to Texas.
Wow.
See, has Chris ever binged an entire TV show in a single day? I'm
No.
gonna say no.
I'm going to
Doesn't have
say
time.
no.
yes, he's got a really cushy job now. He's got some free time. I'm
You're
going to say yes.
implying that
I'm not saying he
cushy at
works
time, but he's
hard.
You
still
said entire show, correct?
Entire season.
entire season of a show. When binging became popular, I think Chris was too busy and he's also a father of two. I'm going to say no.
Yes.
In a single day? No.
Yes.
An entire season?
Oh.
Close.
Yes.
Only
that's
because
not a yes
here's the
for sure.
caveat. Here's the cheat. I had never watched Game of Thrones. And
Yes.
so I finally got on Game of Thrones and I was on like a 12, 14, 16-hour flight, flying over. And it just happened this season.
Wow.
So I'm the loser that just started Game of Thrones.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
You're so lucky.
I know.
I'm jealous of
Well,
you.
everybody was freaking out about the finale. I'm like, okay, I'm going to dive into it.
I haven't seen it.
So you didn't complete a first season,
No.
a full season.
But I
great.
still haven't even finished it.
Points.
So
I'm bad about finishing things.
I'm taking the points though.
What are you talking about?
Okay,
You
Lauren-
did
it's
not
1-1.
finish this
Lauren,
season.
well, here's the real story. Lauren watched it. Lauren was into it, and so she kind of forced me into watching it. Now I'm addicted.
Has Chris ever been to a nude beach?
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes. I don't think he was nude, but I think he's been to one.
I think he was nude.
I think he was there and he was nude.
Kind of, yeah. I've stumbled on, but I wasn't nude. I didn't get nude,
Oh.
but I've been to a nude beach just because we've traveled so much.
I'm going
around
to say,
the
as the
world.
host of the show. he's
Yeah.
Yeah,
up to-
you've been to everywhere.
It's just never the people you want naked.
No, never.
No, it's never.
Can Chris do 25 push-ups in a
Yes.
single rep?
Yes.
I'm going to say yeah.
I'm going to say no.
100%.
Oh, sorry.
100. Yeah,
Rochelle.
25 's
that's
a-
not crazy.
25 is a lot. I like this question.
These cobras are hidden under this shirt, but I am pretty fit.
Did Chris
Steroids are gonna
cry
kick in soon.
at the end of Marley and Me?
I've never
you seen it?
Okay.
Never
Has
seen it.
Chris ever end at the end of the note? Had Chris cry at the end of the Notebook?
Yeah, I cry. I probably could count on one hand the amount of times I cried before I had my daughter. My daughter's 15.
Oh.
Now I cry like a baby.
At movies or in general?
Everything.
I'm
It
a
doesn't
movie
matter.
crier.
I can cry at a commercial, movies. I really cry. It's dad. The dad stuff gets me now.
Rudy.
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 Even stupid stuff like For Love of the Game and Field of
That is not
Dreams. Like,
stupid.
Dad, you want to have a catch? I'm like, boo.
Yeah. No,
Aw,
moments in
your
movies
heart's
get me.
so
When your it's now the daughter stuff, the daughter getting married. You know, you just think, oh, walking your daughter down the aisle. Now I cry like even at, and I'm not so ashamed to say, but like at my birthday, like a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to friends and all this stuff, and I started tearing
I
up.
would like to
So
see Chris
sweet.
Harrison cry.
Why don't they show you crying on The Bachelor?
He doesn't have. He doesn't.
I don't have
cry
time
on
for
The
that.
Bachelor. He's too. Everyone else is sobbing.
Yeah.
He's like, guys, stop. All right, I like this one. Has Chris ever? Don't answer right away, Chris. Has Chris ever been stood up on a date?
I feel like he got married so young. He doesn't date much. I say no.
I'm gonna say yes for fun.
I'm going to say no.
I can't think of exactly when, but sure. Yeah, it has to have happened. Over the last 8 years.
No, I feel like you remember.
In LA.
It wasn't- yeah, it
dating
wasn't-
in LA.
Yeah.
Sorry.
rough.
Yeah, definitely.
Very rough.
It would have been, and obviously I started dating when you guys were born. And so that's when I got married. So it wasn't pre then, it was post divorce.
Oh,
I have some weird stories. of
I
dating.
wish we had time.
Oh, I can't get into them. I'll write a book someday.
I didn't want to bombard him. He was
Yeah.
kind enough to share with Lauren. Has Chris ever bought a pregnancy test?
A what?
A pregnancy test?
Well, yeah. I have 2 kids.
I don't know. Maybe like.
Not post divorce.
What about
Pre. Pre.
pre-first marriage?
Well, my wife and I bought a pregnancy test because we were wondering if she
No,
was
I-
pregnant when we were trying to have kids. Yeah, so 100%. I've bought many. Because
Uh,
then when you think you are, especially your first kid, we bought like 10.
what about before you ever met your first wife?
No.
Okay.
That wasn't a thing. Probably because no one would sleep with me.
That's why I got on TV. Last question. So softball. Does Chris prefer vodka over tequila?
Tequila. He prefers tequila is my vote.
So
No.
Vodka. I'll just say vodka.
He's from Texas.
Oh,
School.
shit.
I'm gonna say vodka.
Wow, you're all right. But you're right. I used to be a vodka guy, but now I'm a diehard tequila guy.
Die Hard.
I'm a big tequila fan. Yeah, I've really got
like in
into-
terms of from a connoisseur standpoint.
Yeah, I love my tequilas. I have certain tequilas I really love.
You and The Rock.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
aren't sitting beside him. I am.
Yeah.
And there's a
you
tequila
can smell.
aura. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. He doesn't smell like tequila.
Another thing Lauren and I share. We love our tequila.
Well, Chris, I know you have to be on your way. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been fun. You're always a great interview. You're a better interviewer, but a great only because it's your
Wow.
profession. Well, no, that was like
I'm like an
meant to-
A interviewer. I'm like a B- interviewee. I agree with
he's
that.
really.
I think
no,
you're 5
he's-
stars across the board.
Thanks,
Chris.
Shug.
Can I was trying to compliment on his interviewing skills. It wasn't that people are going to love this episode. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people. You've become this enigma.
your job is to get America to know us as cast members all the time. And, people are always looking to get to know you more. So I really thank you for your time. You want to tell people about your restaurant in Texas quick?
Yeah. Hey, if you're in Dallas, a little side project. It was a passion project, Steam Theory Brewing. It's in Trinity Groves, just outside of downtown Dallas. I'm from Dallas, which is why I set up some roots there. It's awesome. Really. And by the way, today, International Beer Day.
International Beer Day.
We have like 22 beers on tap. Got a great brewmaster, great food. Go in. And on Mondays and Tuesday nights, go in for Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise nights. We sell the place out. It's awesome.
Oh my God. So fun.
Yeah.
Say the name of it again.
Steam Theory Brewing.
Steam Theory.
Dallas?
In Dallas,
So
Texas.
for those of you who live in there and all the people who don't live here are listening, when you're visiting Dallas, make sure you check it out.
And if I'm in town, I'm always there. I do. I hang out.
I can't wait to
A lot
check
of the
it out.
bachelors and bachelorettes in Dallas swing by. It's cool.
Awesome.
And he was talking about how he loves natural habits earlier.
Yeah, I was going to get a plug in because we have it going next to you. I love that. It's like you're in
Every episode, Chris.
People think someone's vaping next to you.
But you were nice enough to send me an assortment, an accoutrement of your flavors and your smells. And I have it by my bed. It's really good. I have the quiet.
The release.
Yeah. At night. And I have it on. My daughter loves it. And so, and I was apologizing because I use it and I was going to post something. And
You don't need to post
And I just
this.
got lazy
It's fine.
and I didn't do it. And I
You're a busy
guy.
guy.
And I felt like a dick.
It's fine. NHOils.com.
It is good though. Congratulations
All right.
on
thanks,
all your
buddy.
endeavors, man, and the podcast and everything. It does me well and makes my heart swell when I see that people from our show have become such good men and women and go on and do great things. And I wish everybody great success as they head out and do stuff. And like Jordan and JoJo just started their new show, and I reach out because I'm like, it makes me feel good. I want to see you guys do good. I want to see you guys make a crap load of money and have good lives and meet people.
Same. But right back at you. Yeah. He's been a great mentor for all of us, and he's been a great friend. So thanks for again taking the time. It means a lot, and I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me,
Chris Harrison, everybody.
Stick around for questions.
Stick around for questions.
Question time with Nick. Let's ask Nick your sexy questions.
Hi, Amber. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good. I'm Nick. This is Shug.
Hi.
Rochelle's here, just hanging.
Hi. Okay. So I'll give you like a little brief story to my question before. So my mother-in-law actually set my husband and I up 3 years ago because I worked with her, and everything was great throughout the whole dating phase. But once we got engaged, it became like a nightmare. She was like so controlling of the wedding, and so was my mom because they were paying for it. But it got to the point where, and this is totally on me, I went through my fiance's phone and I saw that she had sent a message to him saying like, "Don't marry her. If you marry her, you're gonna marry into her family's baggage," and like just totally criticizing my character. And it like hurt because she set us up and I worked with her for 2 years. So you'd think like she'd be really excited to have me. And so we ended up postponing our wedding. People like our friends don't know about that, of why. We just said it was because of school. And so we ended up eloping this past December, but I actually
So you got married. You are married now.
We're married now. Yeah,
Okay.
we're married now. But
Okay.
I actually ended up calling her out on some of the things I heard her tell our coworkers, saying like she's a manipulator, she's a liar, she fabricates her stories. And when I called her out, she was like, "What are you talking about? Like I never like who would say those things?" And I'm like, well,
How do you know
it
she
sounds
said this
like-
at work?
So I had asked my husband, I said, "Who did you hear these things from?" Because I've used people from work for references. And he goes, "It was actually my mom. I was too scared to tell you that it was her who said them." And
Well, how
so
did your
I made
husband hear of some? Like, where did this come from originally? Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're looking for references from work, but like something came up, and your husband's like, like, what's the story that
So
you knew people weren't
we
saying
moved-
nice things?
So we moved to Utah for his master's program.
Okay.
And it was the first time I have ever lived with someone that wasn't family. And it was the first for him to live with a girlfriend. And so we were just at each other all the time, like
This is
my
before you were
gosh,
married?
where we were still engaged.
Okay.
And so it just got to the point where like we both were confiding in our families, but his mom would say things to people at work saying like, "Oh my gosh, Amber's such a bad person. Like she's starting fights. And it was like, I'm not starting fights. We're just trying to learn to live with one another, if anything.
Wow.
But
So she was interjecting herself into your relationship in so many different ways. And you said that you saw text messages too. So you have proof,
Yeah,
you know that she's
exactly.
been talking like this. It's so interesting because I feel like so many times when a person is like, oh, you know, she's manipulative, she's a liar, she's this, she's that. It sounds like your mother-in-law is actually those things and she's projecting them on you.
People do that a lot. So where are we now?
So we are at the point where she still, oh my gosh, it's like, I get really frustrated being around her because I have to watch what I say. And he's called her out, like, why don't you like her? And she's like, it's because, you know, she takes you away from me. And I'm the one that encourages the time we go over there and see them. But yet she focuses it all on herself. So I feel like she's the one who's not spending the time with her son and getting to know me on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you two, the two of you?
I knew you were going to ask that because I listened to your podcast. We are 24.
Okay. And is this his first serious relationship?
So he's been in 3 relationships and I'd be the 3rd. And then I've been in 2 and he's my 2nd.
Okay. I mean, it's tough, right? Because I think we kind of know what's going on to like what Shug pointed out, but it's not so much understanding what's going on, but I'm guessing your question is like, what do you do about it?
Exactly. Because honestly, if it was up to me, I'd probably like call her out on everything, but I want to be respectful because it is his mom and she is my mother-in-law.
Question for you. So you guys eloped, you said, right?
We eloped, but we included our parents and our siblings because I really wanted my dad to be there and my mom, and he wanted his siblings.
Okay, so that's good. I was wondering if like who was there, or who was not there, because maybe there could be some resentment towards that. How did the parents feel about the eloping?
So his mom was all for it in the beginning, and then she doesn't like my family, and it hurts because they used to be really close and they like the same football team. But at our brunch we had, she just seemed so mad the whole entire time. And then when we got our photos back, she's pissed off in every single photo, and I can't get my wedding photos back. Is
he the oldest son?
Yeah, we both are.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, this is kind of one of those classic cases of mom. Like, it's interesting. I have a really close bond with my mom. I'm the oldest boy. I always feel like there's something about a mother son relationship and a father-daughter relationship that seems to be unique, and most of them I think are healthy and normal, but sometimes not so much. I mean, unfortunately, like there's not much you can do.
Okay.
I think it really needs, I think what you can do is you need to like keep asking your husband to support you, because it really has to come from him. At some point, he really needs to stand up for you and have your back. And he really, he needs to put his mom in her place, so to speak. And she needs to really realize that because right now she's doing it because she knows she has an influence over him. She knows as his mother that she's been doing this his whole life, that she can guilt him and things like that. This happens in families. I mean, I won't get into specifics, but even family members where, you know, their parents, and not necessarily my immediate family, but like I know people in my family that parents can sometimes do that. It's a controlling thing. They have a way of guilting sometimes. And sometimes as we get older, they forget that we are adults and can make our own decisions. And it just comes down to him really having your back. And I think you just need to, and I don't know, it sounds like maybe he's done a pretty decent job, but
he's totally like put her in place, saying like, knock it off. She's my wife. What's the issue with her? Like, I don't get why you constantly put her down. She's, you know, done Mother's Day gifts for you, birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. She picks those all out, but yet it comes back and the blame's all on me.
I think go ahead.
Do you have any interest of, I always think that we have a place to say to the other person what's affecting you. And like, I know you don't want to bring it up because it's your husband's mom and it's your whatever. But at a certain point, I think like human to human, you could, you know, have a one-on-one date with her. Like, let's be like, hey, let's go get our nails done and have a minute where you're like, I gotta admit, like, this is just not the relationship I was hoping for with you. And like, I think you're amazing. And, you know, buffer her up, do what you need to do. And then just be like, I just want us to move forward. How can we turn this around? What can I do? What can, you know, how can we do this? Because I think like she is looking to hold on to the relationship with her son. And the fact that she set you up and had all of these ideas and she liked your family at first, and then it's almost as if her walls kind of shot up when she was like, oh shit, he's gonna marry her and like this is it, and I lose my first son. So she's having like a complete panic and shutting you out and talking shit about you like she's being a child, right? Your mother-in-law is being a child. And
literally,
I think it is in twofold. And I loved your advice, Nick, of like, you need to be to your husband like, yo, you cannot let her speak to me like this. And B, you need to, in your own power, gently like a woman, and you know how to, manipulate the situation by taking her out for a soft afternoon and being like, listen, Mom, like, we can't continue like this.
But I wouldn't spend too much energy. The fact that she did introduce you actually makes more sense than you probably realize, because this is a mom who's used to like running her son's life. So her introducing him to women that she seemingly approves of at the time, but just because they introduce you, she'd introduce you doesn't necessarily assume that you guys would get married. So kind of like what I'm saying is I wouldn't, if for you, waste a lot of energy trying to be like confused or understand that situation. It's just someone who's so used to running her son's life. And to your husband's credit, he is putting his foot down, and she will keep doing it until she realizes she has no control, and there'll probably be some like period of like resentment and anger. And I think Shug makes a great point. To salvage that is to just keep smiling and kill her with kindness. And if you are going to confront her, don't do it like in a work setting or where she can feel threatened and like you're coming at her. You're really going to have to like smile and like Shug said, kind of manipulate the situation where you're just like, listen, I love your son and I hope you love me. I'm not the person you seem to be, but I don't appreciate you going behind my back, especially at work, because you can't keep doing that because it's not okay. But you need a lot of support. I think here's the thing, to Shug's point, you need your husband to play bad cop and you're good cop, so to speak, right?
Yeah, and you get to present her, like, you got to think about what she doesn't realize that she's missing out on, right? This is a woman who clearly values, like, having a special relationship, having a place in her son's life, but what she seems to be overlooking, and what you can, in a very gentle and loving way, present to her, is that she gets to have another special relationship because she has a beautiful daughter now. Like, there's ways into that kind of mentality to be like, I just want to love you. Let's make that let's make that easy.
Also, if you guys start having kids, this is where your husband can play bad cop. Like, hey mom, if you want a relationship with your grandkids, like you need to have a relationship with my wife. So
and like we've talked about it, like my parents love and adore him, and they even joke like, we're so glad she's on your hands. And he's like, I love your family, I'm very comfortable. But he even notices with his family, there's a lot of tension and he hates having to be around them. And it makes me sad because I want, when we have kids, to be good on both sides. Is it
just her and you? Is that the tension? Other than liking the same football team, is there religious differences? Like, what's causing?
So I grew up non-denominational, and she grew up LDS. And so she's never gotten like baptized to let him figure out his own path. And a lot of like his family is LDS, and so they pushed a lot of that onto him, and he's like, I don't want to, and I'm like, I don't.
What's
want
LDS?
to have to comfort
Mormon.
Mormon.
Okay.
So I respect Mormons. I just don't agree with their beliefs.
Is he religious?
Sometimes. Okay. When it comes like.
Hey, aren't we all? And she is. They are. Their family.
She claims to be religious, but I don't see it. I don't see like God truly loving her for who she, like, I don't see God in her heart.
Sure. Well, I've seen this before. My first girlfriend, I had to deal with this. Her mom was very intense. I think if he's your husband, right, and you love him and it seems like your relationship's doing well and that's great. And I think this is one thing that it might take a year or two. If you guys stay the course, she'll probably eventually soften up when she just kind of realizes
She's kind of she's throwing a temper tantrum. She's throwing a fit.
She
She's acting
rarely
like a
is.
child.
Yeah.
And like childs most do, eventually they just give up when they realize stomping and throwing a fit doesn't get their way, because they're used to getting their way when they do that. She's used
It's
to
just exhausting.
she's used to
course it is.
she's used to guilting her son and throwing a fit, and then he gives in, and he's not. He needs to really stay the course, and then you just kill her with kindness.
Okay. I will definitely do that.
Well,
Thank you.
Yes, good luck with that. Yeah, and just remember, it's a child. You're allowed to speak to them very slowly and like help them understand.
Well, don't be
All of that's
condescending
fine.
to her.
Why? She needs it. Parent.
If I do
your
that, I
mom.
get myself in trouble.
Your mom.
Yeah.
You know
Good
how
cop.
to do it.
She's good cop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, nice to meet you. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. I'm like everyone probably tells you, I listen to you every day I go to work, and it makes my day so much better. And I appreciate you letting me be on here to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Of course. And I did 5 stars. So
Oh, you're the best.
And let us know how it goes. Make sure to keep
I will.
us updated.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Hi, Ruby. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm Nick. This is Shug. We have Rochelle in the room as well.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
How can we help you, Ruby?
Thank you. So I have an older sister
Mhm.
who's 42 and she's single.
42, you said?
And kind of in our ethnic background, kind of once you turn 30 as a woman, like your marriage prospects really are very minimal.
Okay.
And she tried, we tried, my husband and I tried, setting her up with people, her friends have tried, and things just never worked out for her. And so she kind of gave up for a while. And recently she actually said that she kind of wants to try it again. And so it's kind of encouraging her to kind of remove herself from our like ethnic background and try even people who, obviously we're like a Muslim and you can kind of see that. And it's a very visible thing because we literally wear like our face on our sleeve.
Sure.
And so it's something that she doesn't know how to do. And I don't know kind of if someone would even be attracted to that. And so my question to you is kind of what your opinion is and whether or not she should be going out and kind of venturing out into that type of realm, who I feel like, there are men who would consider someone who is her age with the possibility of not being able to have their own biological children. And if so, kind of how to do that.
Great question, and thanks for calling. Did you say she's 32 or 42?
42.
Okay. And are you guys, when you say ethnic background, so you're Muslim, like you said, you have, you said you wear your religion on your sleeve, so to speak. My opinion is, growing up very Catholic, and it's not as Christian, I guess, in America is more socially, I guess acceptable. Yeah. Let's just be honest, like in terms of what it is. But I often think I think it comes both ways, right? There's certainly a lot of stereotypes, and there's a lot of criticism in America, especially with Muslim religions. But at the same time, too, like as religious people in general who want to start dating outside of the religion, and in my experience, I sometimes feel like the fear is more on your side, where the question is, are there going to be men out there who would want to date your sister? Absolutely. Like 100%. There are going to be Christian and Jewish or non-religious men who might be open to your sister. I think the big question is when she starts dating these men who don't have the same faith background and same just same background in general, is she looking to bring someone in, so to speak, and kind of convert them, or is she just trying to find a partner and then kind of go from there? I guess is my first question.
So technically, because faith is something that is important to her, like someone would have to just technically convert, but whether or not they are practicing is something different. But as long as it's someone who would respect her, she's pretty independent, and she has been used to kind of doing her own thing. So as long as someone is respectful of that, I think she'd be fine with that.
Yeah, because if you're saying that with your community that they're a little bit more
Maybe a little bit more, because you don't have to be Muslim for men to sometimes stereotype older women. So let's not,
Yeah, and I kind of want to separate the religion from it, because it's more so like we're come from like an Indian and Pakistani background.
Okay.
And it's not like a religious thing, because our religion actually says otherwise, but it's more of like a cultural
thing.
I
think, yes, to answer your question, there's plenty of men who would be interested in dating your sister,
And is she really set on having children? Is that something that she wants? Or is she, you brought up, okay, are men going to be afraid that she can't have biological children? Listen, as an older woman myself, I'm in my late 30s and I'm single. And I have my own opinions on children and how I want to invite them into my life and when and all of the rest of it. So I don't feel, I don't feel handcuffed to the fact that maybe when I'm ready to have children, I can't do it biologically. That doesn't scare me whatsoever. And I also know that to some men, it's very important that they fall in love with and marry somebody who is at that peak breeding age. I get that too, but that's only one pocket of men.
Yeah.
There's also men that I'm meeting and really like having wonderful conversations with that are on the same page as me about building a family and what that can look like. There's just not only one idea of how to build a family anymore. And I think encouraging your sister to be empowered in that idea and to find people and to become very clear on what she wants so that she can put that into the universe, so that she can communicate that to these men that she's dating. And I personally am an advocate for mixing everybody up. As far as background goes, as far as race goes, I really, truly believe so wholeheartedly that humanity needs to just mix it all up.
Other people aren't, as much as say you and I in that category. But I do think it's important just to realize that it's probably those people that Sugar's talking about that kind of have that mindset where they don't really care if you're white, black, Hispanic, Indian, or whatever. Religious backgrounds. Again, for me at this point in my life, I grew up very Catholic and very Christian. And I guess if all things being equal, that would be fine. I've mostly dated white women in my life. I grew up in a community that was predominantly white, but I don't have a preference. I just want to meet someone that I connect with and that I have these intimate moments with and I feel safe and have this bond. And so that doesn't have a skin color. It doesn't have a religious background. But if I meet someone and if it was really passionate to her to be Muslim, whatever. I'm fine with it because that's not what I've, at this point in my life how I'm picking a partner. I think there's just so many different ways to connect. So as long as your sister's open to it, I think she's going to be surprised how many men she finds open to it at that point. And then after that, like figuring out how they work in a relationship, who's converting, who's not. Those are conversations you have to have. But the initial interest in terms of just men being interested in your sister, a sea of men, I'm sure.
And 32 is not old.
She's 42.
Oh, 42.
But still.
She's 42, yeah.
But even at 42, yeah.
It's kind of like where, I guess my question is also where she can kind of put herself out there just because, she's tried obviously like the online route and just things haven't worked out, but she goes to work and, she's kind of like has her normal routine. And so beyond that, she doesn't really come across anyone. So it's kind of like, how can she really put herself out there?
Is she
under certain restrictions?
Is she, like her social life, is it fairly active other than work? Is she a part of groups or organizations or things where single men might go to? I mean, socially, if you're not going to do the dating app thing, and dating apps can be challenging that way because it's a lot about, there's probably going to be some stereotyping going on there, and that could be a challenge. But like if you're out there and they're getting to know your sister and they're meeting her and they're interacting with her and they're getting to know her personality, I think that can up your chances a lot. It's just her getting out there socially in whatever that is. It doesn't have to mean going to bars. It could be, even if it's like joining a recreational sports league, she doesn't have to be athletic. She doesn't even have to like sports. She can just show up and be like
on the bench. It's just finding different social ways that people are interacting outside of work and just expanding your area. If you work in the same place at the same time, the only new people you're going to meet are like new hires, and that might not happen a lot. So it's just trying to find new ways to meet people. And there's a ton of ways by just joining different groups or activities or social circles. Volunteering is another way of doing it. You regardless of your faith, you can volunteer at all different types of religious organizations and meet people. That's always a great way of doing it. Fundraiser types of stuff. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, a lot of these apps are starting to do experiential. So it's like, Bumble will throw a singles party at a local bar or whatever. And those ones are always great because it is hard to meet people online. And it takes a lot of being bold and a lot of kind of going out of it feels like it's hard to make that energy connection. Totally understand that. So I would look out for like singles events in the neighborhood and things like that as well.
Yeah. And I think it's great that she's trying to open up and not feeling the pressure of dating in her community. And she might be one of those things where she tries that and then she still ends up meeting someone she's more familiar with. You just never know. But it's just getting out there. And I'm a big believer in never giving up. This idea that you said, like, she tried and now she's ready to get back out there. I just think it's always important to keep yourself open. It doesn't mean you're like hustling and trying so hard, but you're just open to meeting people and not ever totally closing it off.
Yeah. Great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never want to close doors and windows for rooms you hope to fill one day.
Yes, and please, as her sister, do her that great favor of not giving up on it either and encouraging her to keep faith and love. And it's all around us. So be sure as her supporter to remind her that she's not too old for anything. I have an auntie who she fell in love at 55. She fell in love at 55 and that's just how her life story was. And she's the happiest lady in the world, So just please, as her sister, be sure to encourage that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, the reality is like certain faiths and certain cultures have different standards. And we're like, we have such more of a progressive mindset out here and people, there's more of a melting pot, but that's not always the case. And I think it is harder. Even like growing up in Wisconsin, part of the joke is you moved out here when, I left when all my friends got married. Hannah talked about that when she was here, like in the South, where it's just like there's an expectation, and if you don't, and then you turn 30 and people start looking at you. And
she wrote in the email, once you turn 30, that a girl doesn't have many options in my culture, and that just like makes me so upset.
Sure, but there's truth to it, right? But it's
not
also
how it should be.
No, it's not. But it's not just her culture. It's actually a lot.
Listen, and it's true.
It's society in general.
The numbers do dwindle. That's a true fact, I think. But that doesn't make it hopeless by any means. I think that it's quality control. They're just getting all of the garbage out of the way.
There's so much more value in women besides like what you can offer,
Totally. But just in people in general, this idea of, I get it all the time, right? As someone who like is probably most known for my dating life. I haven't done a questions with Nick or post a picture of like a thirst trap where there isn't at least one. I don't understand why he's single. And that's meant to be some sort of compliment with like an ounce of criticism of like, well, what is wrong with you? Why are you single? Maybe it's just because I've decided not to settle down because I haven't found the person I want to settle down with. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Somewhere along the line, we decided, like back 10 years ago, if you were a guy who's seemingly eligible, good looking, good working, and you were single in your 30s, there'd be, is he gay? Why is he like, there had to be a reason, and maybe the reason is you just haven't wanted to find your person. Single isn't necessarily a negative thing that we have a way of making it out to be. Her sister's desire to meet someone is why you should be in a relationship, not because you're afraid of being single. And then, listen, there's double standards all the time. But I love your idea of,
when I started putting pressure on myself, I kept thinking to myself, I started having friends who had gotten married and divorced within the time span of me never being married. And listen, that happens, and no criticism there for people who shot their shot and didn't work out. But I would rather, whenever it is, to your point, meet that person and have that be the best relationship of my life, and have maybe a 15, 20, 30 still year successful relationship, and hopefully marriage, and maybe still you don't have to have kids. That's what I want. I don't need to get married 3 times just because I need to not, the fear of like, well, why aren't you have settled down? Why haven't you been married? Why don't you have kids? Like, hopefully we're all here for a while. Life is short, but at the same time, get it right. So take your time and be patient.